It's Schaefer and Sliwa. John Schaefer and San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
What is going on? John Schaefer, Alan Sliwa. How are you, my friend?
What is going on? Everything is good.
Padres looking for a fifth straight win this afternoon.
Yep.
Left for dead. Not literally. Back from the dead.
They got some work to do.
But
got to finish this up.
If they win today, they're in position to be in position. They're right around this wild card race. They really are. I mean, it didn't look good a week or two ago, Alan.
Yeah.
But 8-5 in their last 13 going back to the Blue Jay series. And this game's still going on. We don't know how it's going to finish, but leading the Rockies right now, trying to sweep this mini 2-game set.
I like that they'd be in position to be in position.
They're in position to be in position.
To get in position.
Have you ever heard that?
I haven't, but here's what they've done.
So Jonathan Kuminga says.
All they have done is kind of beat up on some of these teams in front of them, which is what you have to do. So, take advantage of it. Yesterday was a wild game. I don't know what the hell was going on yesterday. I still don't understand yesterday's game.
Wild game.
But because they're playing an afternoon game today, it's almost, we're not going to forget about it. We go back and kind of talk about some things over these last couple of days, but you're right. They're right in the mix. And if everyone was asking them to be in the mix, by the time you got to the trade deadline, they'll start. If they could get today done and walk away with a win, they got a 4-game set coming up against the San Francisco Giants. And, obviously that's at home. Obviously the Giants have been struggling and kind of put themselves in a decent position to at least make a case to AJ Preller. And the rest of that front office is, let's add something here.
Like, what if I told you if this lead holds, it's 3-0 the seventh inning, right? So they got to do that.
Don't screw this up, John.
But what if I told you? No, I said they need to. You're right. I'm kind of getting ahead. I'm going to do it anyway because what role do I play?
Let's say they won a World Series. Let's
say they win the next 3 World Series.
Let's just say they won 3.
But hear me out. Let's say they win today. And I'm saying it's not a guarantee, but let's say they win today.
Okay.
Do you know they've passed the Pirates, Marlins, Nats, and Cardinals? If they win today, now again, they're all within a game of each other.
Yeah.
But but that's the point here. They went from 5.5 games out of a playoff spot with a win today to not just a game and a half
out.
They were 5.5 out.
Is that when they were 3 under?
No, it was after game 1 of the Blue Jay series. They're actually 1 or 2 under, but the teams were playing better in front of them, and then the Marlins lost 12 straight.
So the 7-6 loss to the Blue Jays
put them 5.5 out. And if they win today, not only are they a game and a half out, Alan,
or the Royals.
No, they weren't 5.5 out in the second half. They were 5.5 out after the first game of the Blue Jays series heading into the break. If they win today, they're not a game and a half out of the final wild card spot. They're a game and a half out of the second wild card spot because both of those teams would be tied in Arizona and Philadelphia. It's there for the taking. Like, real quick, like people are telling me, well, they don't have the tiebreaker against Philadelphia. Who cares? It's July. Let's see it out. Like, if the Phillies don't play well, the tiebreaker is not going to be overly significant. Let's just see how they play. Like, is the tiebreaker today overly significant? They have over 3 NFL seasons of games still to play. Let it play out.
Yeah, I think you call that okay. I do think there's a little bit of from a tiebreaker perspective. I do think those things have value, but how much value do they have on July 29th? And you're not going to get a chance to play Philly again. So there's really nothing you could do about that. So, yes, they have some squads got some tiebreakers over you. But I think more importantly than that, do you know that as we all kind of the last couple of weeks and say everybody's fighting for one wild card spot, the Philadelphia Phillies have lost again. They got swept by Miami
at home,
who were coming into that series having lost 12 games in a row. The Padres just swept Miami.
A franchise record.
Miami goes to Philly. Philly was up today, what, 6-0?
Loss.
So Philadelphia, in this last handful of games, the Philadelphia Phillies are 2-8 in their last 10. So like you said, now there's not
5 games.
There's now not 1 spot available. There's 2 spots available. And whether Philly does something or not, I've always thought Philadelphia is going to eventually just kind of lock up one of those spots. But you got some teams that are falling behind. You got the Padres winning at the right time.
Like, I guess I would ask it this way, because I'm doing this each and every night as well. Like, we're doing it each and every day. And people are telling me, oh, it wasn't pretty last night. They still got to sell. They're just not good enough. And I'm like, well, if the Padres have to sell, what do the Phillies need to do, who are 2-9 in their last 11 games? What do the Cards need to do, who have fallen further behind San Diego now. Like, who is the buyer? Who's the big buyer in this equation? And why is it them and not you, is my point.
Let me say this. I think anybody that's saying the Padres should still sell, I'm going to try to be objective here. I don't think that's a crazy statement if the goal is what? Like, if the only reason why you buy is because you think you could be a dangerous team in the postseason, I don't think the Padres have accomplished that. I don't think the Padres, as we're sitting here today, and pretty much all season, have we said, hey, this can be a dangerous team in the postseason. So I guess the question becomes, how are you defining whether you buy or you sell?
By your definition, make the playoffs. Because we said heading into the year, make the playoffs.
That's my definition.
That's my definition right now. I'm with you. I don't think they're the LA Dodgers. I really don't. I don't think they're beating a Dodgers team in the postseason. They got to get there. But I didn't think they would beat the Dodgers in 2022 when they went 5-13 against them.
Sure.
And they did convincingly in 4 games. So that's just the point. I would say that with baseball, unlike basketball, where it's like you're 40-42, they're 60-22, you're screwed.
Here's the problem too.
It's different.
Here's the problem too. If you only look at this through that lens, you're probably never going to buy. So what I would tell you is
the World Series lens.
Yes.
Or the Dodgers lens. Yeah. The same thing. Same thing. Yep.
I would tell you this. I would say, don't worry about any other team in the NL. What you need to worry about is, can this team get better as the season progresses? Right. Can they get healthier? And can they add something in there? And if they can, and they got to the playoffs, I don't care if your odds are 5% or 15% chance of winning a World Series, you're in the mix.
Right.
And that's all you can ask for. Now, I think those that were more aggressive about selling, I think it was a stronger case a week ago. I think it's not as strong as we sit here today because there are a lot of teams that dropped that are in front of them. And they've won, 4 games in a row. We'll see if they can make it happen tonight or today and make it 5 games in a row. I think there's a lot of factors in play. And this is coming from somebody that has come on here plenty of times this season and be like, we suck. We're very average.
I have too.
We're not going anywhere. Like that. That's both things can be true.
Yeah. It's not just, by the way, it's not me saying, trust me. Not only are they going to make the postseason, but they're going to make a run. It's me saying, what other option does the organization truly have? You think that the organization is going to go into the trade deadline having won, let's say, 7 of 9. If they win today and they split a 4-game series against San Francisco, they've won 7 of 9. So you've won 7 of 9 at the worst going into the deadline in my hypothetical. That's splitting against San Francisco and winning today. And then you sell off. That's the moment where you're like, you know what? I'm just not seeing it. And I'm really thinking about 2027, even though the whole season might be in jeopardy because of a lockout. I just don't think it's the way Preller has operated. Now, if something has changed, if there's a mandate coming elsewhere, I don't know that. I don't think anyone fully does. I'm just saying, based on what we've seen from Preller over the years, why would this be any different from other ways he's operated with similar teams?
But I want to take Preller out of the mix for a second. I know you can't, but I think, people like, I'll use the YouTube chat here as an example. Here's one. Dane says, if you have a chance, at least you buy, right? Here's another one.
Agreed.
Here's one from Jake. They make the playoffs and choke every year. Okay.
So that's the reason not to buy?
Let me get one more in here. Let me see another one. Okay. That's basically, those are the 2 that I wanted to read.
React to that though. They make just real quick. Yeah. They make the playoffs every year and choke. So
let me give everyone, I think this is a good perspective to have. Okay. And I know people are going to say like, I'd rather this not happen than happen, but it was devastating in 2024 to lose against the Dodgers in 5 games and not have a chance. If that was the best chance you had of a World Series run since 1998. Right? It's a devastating one.
Sure.
I could go back to 1998 and tell you that to have a chance against the Yankees, and I'll never forget it, Game 1, Padres had a chance to win that game. They end up losing, but they had an opportunity. They had a couple opportunities to win that game, and they lost Game 1. Could it have changed the series? I don't know. It was the 98 Yankees. Literally, that's like a People usually, that's like the cream of the crop. Give me 10 of those devastating defeats, because I know the more of those that I'm in, the better shot I have of winning it all. So to answer your question, losing to the Cubs last year was awful. If you're going to be a franchise that eventually wins a World Series, you need 10 or 15 of those. As in, every chance you get to make the playoffs, try to make the playoffs.
I agree.
And they're in that spot today. Now, if you told me they were 5 games out, 6 games out,
and
the scenario was different, then we could have a different conversation. But at this time, Tatis is balling, Merrill is balling, Manny Machado is balling. They don't have starting pitching. So if anybody wants to make an argument to me and say, Al, they don't have starting pitching, how are they going to go through any round of the playoffs? That's the only case that I would tell you that's a fair case.
Well, there's the trade deadline. So let's see what they're able to do at the deadline. I'm just telling you how I feel right now. This is how I truly feel. For the Padres fan that continues to tell me they need to sell, they're not it, they're not going to do anything in the postseason. The way I feel about that right now is, to me, that's a really defeatist attitude. If you know right now that this team has no chance of going anywhere, why are you watching? Why are you consuming? This is part of fandom. It's not a straight line with the Padres. They never go through a season starting in first place, finishing in first place. Look at 98 September, a 10-game losing streak in 1998 in September. They've never won 100 games in a season. They've never won a World Series. The point is, like, it's never going to be clean and easy. There's going to be highs and lows, including right now. But the idea that you already know they can't accomplish anything, therefore they should sell in the midst of a 4-game winning streak with a couple of days until the trade deadline, that to me is too simplistic. It's like, why are you even watching that?
I think I can answer this. I think Jake, who had the comment earlier, and I think this is a fair comment. He says, I think they should sell and build a winning team next year.
Okay.
I think there's an argument to be made that this team is not going to get it done. So can I capitalize on all these players that other teams want, so that I can start building something that maybe is a little bit more sustainable next season? I don't think that's a crazy point.
Fair, but hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh has sold at the last 8 deadlines. What has that bought them? Colorado has sold at the last 8 deadlines. What has it bought them? Angels have sold at the last 10 deadlines. What has it bought them? Miami has sold at the last 10 deadlines. What has it bought them? So there's no guarantee selling positions. You're good organizations. It can.
Yeah.
But not every organization. A lot of teams constantly sell, constantly draft, and never turn the corner.
I'm going to just flip it this way to play devil's advocate. I think the way AJ Preller has done it, I don't know how many teams have taken his approach and had tremendous amount of success.
They've had some success, though, with his approach.
They've had some success to his approach, but how do you define success? Because a lot of people would say, if I'm trading the farm, if I'm giving up a lot of my young studs, I better have a chance to win right now. They've never made a World Series under his
But
umbrella.
To your point, I prefer this route than the Pittsburgh route. The chances, the disappointment, the losing in the postseason.
I don't disagree with that.
An Angels fan?
I don't disagree with that at all. But I think that's typically our question with AJ Preller. What's the balance? You don't want to have somebody that's so extreme one way and so extreme another way. And AJ Preller is extreme on one of those ways.
I want them in the postseason more often than not. And that's what they've done. And I hope it continues. Because
that's true.
With that theoretical, at least you're giving yourself a chance. All right, more on the Padres wrapping up their series with the Rockies. They're leading to the bottom of the 7th inning, 3-1. The latest from Jeff Passan on Xander Bogaerts and his contract and whether it's movable or not. Plus, coming up at 3:30, Tim Hagerty, voice of the Chihuahuas. Ethan Salas, top prospect in the organization, has been promoted to AAA. So Tim Hagerty's reaction coming up at 3:30 on Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with a bonus bucks giveaway. That's every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportsd.com. Your next chance to win $1,000 coming up after 4 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760.
Tim Hagerty, longtime voice of the Chihuahuas. Ethan Salas has been promoted. What does that mean? I mean, it means he's been promoted.
Yep.
But what does it mean for his second half? Tim Hagerty will join us coming up in 10 minutes. Let me read this. Jeff Passan on Xander Bogaerts. I want your reaction.
Okay.
The Padres, and we've touched on this a lot the last 2 weeks, but this is the latest. The Padres would love to attach Bogaerts' contract to any Mason Miller trade, but that's not going to happen. No team is taking on that deal unless the Padres are willing to pay down a significant portion of the contract. It's about as immovable as a contract can be.
Sheesh.
The latest from Jeff Passan.
Yeah, I'd be curious, new ownership comes in and how they approach that.
I agree with that completely.
Okay, what would it tell you if they paid? I still think it's too early. I don't think they're going to do it.
To part ways with the deal. I agree with you.
I think it would probably take, let's just be prepared for this, at least a couple of years.
To do it. Because now, are you saying in a couple of years they would just write the check, all of what they owe, and that's it? As in, if he's owed 120 2 years from now, making it up. He still has 5 years on deal. He's owed 120.
No, I
write
still,
the check.
I still think they try to, if
Move
they're selling
him.
and making a deal and they're paying 60, 70% of it and
Someone else
something
is
along those lines.
I just don't see how you do that right now.
Yeah, I don't see it either, because it's also, as frustrating as you might be with Xander Bogaerts, you're really most frustrated with how much money he makes. And you're frustrated with his length of his deal.
Yep.
The actual player, he's not the worst player in baseball.
No,
he's not awful. He's just not worth what his contract is.
Yep.
So why would you, at this stage, how old is he? 33? 34.
About to be 34.
So why at 34 would you do this? I don't think they would. 36 or 37, maybe you do it then. I just don't think that. I don't understand why you would do it now, because there's so many years left. He still is playing almost every day. He still is your starting shortstop. He still adds things that, I get it. He's not the player that you wanted him to be, but I also don't think he's this cancer in your clubhouse.
No.
Like, there's other elements to it where I think you could justify keeping him for a couple of years.
Although, and I agree with you.
You want to give up Mason Miller just to get rid of Xander Bogaerts?
I don't want that. I don't. And I don't think Mason Miller will be traded.
Keep the damn guy.
Now, I will say this. Xander Bogaerts is hitting .219 this year with an on-base plus slugging percentage of .637. That's 151 points below his career average. His OPS plus 100 is a major league average player. 79 is 21% worse than a major league average player. Consider that. The right in the middle.
Yeah,
an average player, he's 21% worse than the average player in the major leagues, yet he's got a top 25 contract in the sport. I'm with you. It's more on the contract than the player, but that Boston player, I mean, I wish we just saw some semblance of him.
Listen, players like that, something can pop in a postseason game. Something like
true.
It could be there. And frankly, like, to have Xander in a playoff game, I'd rather have Xander in the lineup than not. Like, I think he is a kind of that vet, been there before, where you should get your most frustration with Xander Bogaerts. I don't think it should be today. I think it should be in a couple of years. Because in a couple of years, those numbers are only going to get worse. In a couple of years, he's probably not the shortstop that he is today defensively.
A couple of years, you're closer to the end of the deal. So it's less money overall.
That then I think becomes more. And there's going to come a time where it's clear that the San Diego Padres are like, window is closed. They're starting to rebuild.
I agree with you, man.
And once that happens, then you could kind of trickle in all this other stuff.
And that goes back to like your point from earlier. Like, if this wasn't a 4-game winning streak and was a 4-game losing streak, and as opposed to being 1 over, they were 7 under, because that's what they would be if they had lost their last 4 games. It's a different guy. I'm not talking about buying, nor are you, if they're 7 under 500. Like, that's why, and I agree, like, we made the point. It's not like you're buying just because of a Marlins series. I'm just buying or selling based on the totality. If they're 50 and 57, I'm selling. If they're 57 and 50, they're not. I'm buying. It's a totality play for me. I would just be very surprised if Xander Bogaerts moved right now.
Well, here's kind of the other side of this, and it just comes with the territory of where the Padres are where they're at. They're still in a window where they need to win right now because they don't know how many more opportunities they're going to get with this crew.
Right.
So any chance you get of that excuse to try, then they're going to do everything they can to see how much longer that window's open. I think nobody knows what happens to baseball after this year. That probably comes into play as well. I think there's a lot of factors that go in. But, I would say some of the biggest factors is the NL is top heavy. So you got a ton of teams that are remarkably average, maybe Atlanta if you want to put them there. But I don't even think Atlanta. I think Milwaukee and the Dodgers are the two teams.
I agree.
And I think Milwaukee is well below the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Because until the Brewers do something in the postseason, nobody's going to really truly have trust in them.
I agree. Tim Hagerty, voice of the Chihuahuas. On the other side, Ethan Salas, top position player in the organization, has been promoted to AAA. We'll get Tim Hagerty's reaction to that on the other side here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres and Rockies are playing game 2 of their series right now downtown at Petco Park. We are currently in the top of the 8th inning, and the Padres are up 3-1. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. By the way, Kevin Acee, after this game goes final at 5:30, will be on the show. But great to connect right now. He is a friend of the show. He's been on the station a number of times over the years. Longtime radio voice of the Padres AAA team, the El Paso Chihuahuas. Tim Hagerty back with us here on 760. So, Tim, hope all is well. I know it's busy. We appreciate you taking time. What's your reaction to the big news involving Ethan Salas? He moves up from AA, was having a very productive year down in AA. He'll get the promotion to AAA. What was your reaction, and what are the expectations for him moving forward?
It's exciting. I was curious when it would happen. There was a person in the Padres minor league staff early this year that said, I think he'll come your way, referring to El Paso. Didn't put an exact timeline. So I sort of was curious now that August is approaching. As you guys know, he's the Padres' #1 prospect and turned just 20 last month. MLB, Minor League Baseball's website, is reporting that Salas is the youngest regular player in all of AAA out of all 30 rosters.
Wow.
It's amazing.
He's getting old. He's getting old on us right in front of our eyes here. Tell us, for those who are not getting a chance. I mean, Ethan Salas' name comes up. Every Padre fan is interested. What has made his year so special to get this opportunity to be in AAA now? What can you just kind of walk us through how his season has gone and maybe even some special moments that we're not seeing on a day-to-day basis?
I think it's because he's already had these ups and downs at such a young age. I mean, he was playing at Lake Elsinore games for a couple of days at age 16. He was the youngest minor league player in the United States in a decade in any organization, and then was rising so fast. But last year was limited to only 10 games because of injury. And my understanding is the Padres were just so impressed by how much stronger he got. Rather than forcing him into some winter ball games, they had him rest in the winter, but also did some training once he got healthy. And I just introduced myself to him today, and this does not look like the body of your average 20-year-old. This is a big, strong guy. This is you give him a handshake and his arm, his hand goes all the way up your arm. Really physically strong guy. And I think, so now he's healthy, and he was hitting very well at AA, as John just mentioned. He has a .361 on base percentage there. That is the best on the missions. His batting average is the 7th best in the entire league. So I think now more than half of a season at AA, he elevates to AAA. I can tell you guys, we just got the lineup. Here's a little bit of breaking news. He is DHing tonight for El Paso. So I think on the travel day from San Antonio to El Paso, he's the DH. Not sure when we'll see him behind the plate, but I'm sure in the coming days that'll happen too.
Tim Hagerty is with us. He's the voice of the Padres AAA affiliate, the El Paso Chihuahuas. I'll get ahead of myself, Tim. He hasn't even played in AAA. Do you feel as if there's a scenario where he could be a September call-up, either dependent on the Padres' need or his performance over the next month?
That would be a better question when you're interviewing a Padres executive. I don't know. When you say, is there a scenario, he's risen quickly already. So I think it's possible. And there have been some top prospects that go so quickly through the organization. The one thing is the Padres have had some depth at catcher this year. I mean, I think about Rodolfo Duran, who's held his own, I think, in the majors, both offensively and defensively, for someone who was a minor league free agent. Luis Camposano is having a strong offensive season. Blake Hunt is hitting great here in El Paso. I think Padres fans will see as he gets more time in the majors, if that happens, that he can hit as well. And he's on the 40-man roster. That's the one thing about Ethan Salas is he hasn't reached a point in his minor league status that he's had to be added to the 40-man roster yet. So you would have to make a corresponding move. But is there a scenario? I guess anything's possible, but I have not heard if that is on the radar at all.
Tim Hagerty is the voice of the Chihuahuas, joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa show. Tim, I'm curious. We've heard Ethan Salas' name come up, and we'll see what the Padres end up doing here over these next few days. But how do you think he is valued just across baseball? As you know, it does not seem like, and if the Padres keep winning games, hopefully they're in buying mode and not selling mode. But just, out of curiosity, how is Ethan Salas viewed across all of Major League Baseball?
Very highly. Even before he came to El Paso, we were in Oklahoma City a couple of weeks ago, and there was a scout with a different Major League organization talking about what he saw at San Antonio. This is just kind of off the record chit chat in the press box. And he said, the way Salas receives pitches, he said, it's one of the best I've ever seen. And I thought for a guy at that time that the scout saw him was only 19 years old to say that when it comes to the idiosyncrasies of receiving pitches, I think he's considered very advanced. And when you combine that with a strong offensive season, I think he's very highly regarded across baseball.
Tim, take us through this time of year. It's not your first rodeo, but you're not someone that could be traded, I don't believe. It's very rare for a radio guy to get traded in season. But
he's got a no trade clause, so he's got to prove anything.
You're like Xander. What is it like, though? Because you've been around the AAA level. I mean, this time of year, especially with AJ Preller as a general manager, there's always the possibility of movement, whether they're buying or selling. Is it something you sense being around a team or a clubhouse in the days leading up to a deadline?
Definitely. I've grown to actually really try to be entertained by it, because last year the Chihuahuas were in Round Rock on the day of the deadline, and the Padres, as normal lately, had such an active deadline.
Right.
That day, 3 different El Paso pitchers left that afternoon. It was Edward Neal Nunez as part of the Mason Miller trade, and then it was the 2 pitchers that went to the Royals for Freddie Fermin, Stephen Kolek, and Ryan Bergert. I mean, those guys were Chihuahuas all one afternoon in Round Rock, and that day they all left. So I think it is a time that various sports channels are on in the clubhouse, and they're watching the ticker and they're checking their phones. And, these guys have friends across baseball and other organizations. Oh, that guy just got traded to this team. It is fun to observe that. And you definitely use pencil that day in your scorebook, because there have been times that a player gets traded an hour before the game starts. Wow. And it reshuffles the lineup. So, I think some players get a sense for that as well. I think this generation, especially if they try to, they can look on social media and see their names in rumors all the time. I think some players choose not to do that, and that's probably the smarter thing to do for their mindset. But sometimes players are sort of aware this might be happening to me. So it is a really interesting time to be around a minor league team.
Tim, are there some players that maybe are not talked about as much that are within the organization, that are part of the Chihuahuas AAA, or you've seen go from AA up to AAA, that we should be talking more about? Just got incredible amount of talent. And again, there are the names that we might be accustomed to, top 2-3 prospects or so, but are there some other names that we should be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, I think what's fun in AAA is that we talk about the prospects like Ethan Salas, but there's also the 6-year free agents, the minor league free agents, and guys like Samad Taylor and Jace Bowen that have become regular contributors to the Padres. I know Samad's on the injured list now, but was playing so well before that. And I think the Chihuahuas do have some depth in that area. There's a player, Carlos Rodriguez, who has yet to make his major league debut, who's had a great offensive year. He's a left-handed hitting, left-handed throwing outfielder. Just really a solid player. I don't think he'd be a starting Padre at any point, but I think if there was ever some injuries, he's somebody that can play all 3 outfield spots.
Oh, just like that. Tim, we still got you. You're still on the line. We lost you, though. Brian will try to reconnect. Tim Hagerty?
What'd you say to him?
He was making the most meaningful point of the conversation.
Yeah,
Did you hear that?
I think
he's like, the key to life is?
Yep. And the most important advice I could give you is?
It was unbelievable. It was incredible.
We'll see if it's able to connect.
It was really incredible.
I do think that's interesting where you got kind of the names that we're familiar with, but how many other guys that could be under the radar that we're not talking about that could be potential players down the road?
Dude, look at this roster, right? Like Rodolfo Duran, catcher. We weren't talking about him. Samad Taylor, we weren't talking about him. There's other pieces. I feel like the Padres are always that like top heavy roster, but there's those 5, 6, 7 names you're not talking about that are going to play a significant role.
And they have to be more creative.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're so freaking top heavy.
Let's see. Tim just texted me.
Okay.
I think we're disconnected, he said.
Okay.
All right. Do we have Tim back? Tim, we did get disconnected. I appreciate you hopping back on. You were making the point about some of the players that were playing well within the organization or in
Tremont
AAA.
Taylor, you just mentioned, yeah.
And then you got cut off. So you can finish the point or restart it, but we appreciate you hopping back on.
Yeah, no problem. I think that there are some players in that mold, guys with major league time previously that are now minor league free agents who the Padres picked up. Dustin Harris is another guy I was mentioning. He was in the majors this year for a couple of solid teams, the White Sox and the Astros. He's played all three outfield spots in El Paso, fast runner, good left-handed hitter. Carlos Rodriguez is another. He's somebody that the Padres signed to a minor league deal. He previously was in the Braves and Brewers organizations. And to me, I know you guys have seen him before, but Will Wagner has some really good at bats in AAA, and he had a nice on base percentage for the Padres, I think, for somebody who went up and filled in. On the pitching side, Evan Fitterer has yet to make his major league debut. He's having a solid season. He has an ERA in the high threes right now. A lot of the hitter-friendly ballparks that Chihuahuas play at, which I know you guys know about. He's got impressive stats. So I think El Paso does have a fun roster to watch for a number of reasons.
Tim, before you go, and I'll put you on the spot, even though it's not really to put you on the spot. You've been in this organization a long time. How long have you been with the Padres affiliate now?
For 20 seasons.
Wow.
20 seasons.
Congratulations.
The entirety of Preller's tenure. What's your gut tell you?
Yes.
From a buy-sell perspective, watching from afar, knowing every game is so important, what do you think they do? You think they lean more in, or they lean more out, or somewhere in the middle? What do you think? What's your hunch?
I have no insight on this, so don't put a lot of stock in it, but his inclination has been to buy. So I think if they continue playing well against the Rockies and continue playing well against the Giants this week, I would not be surprised if they get acquisitions.
Tim, appreciate you doing it, man. Continued success on the call throughout the course of this summer with the Chihuahuas, and we'll do it again at some point in August, all right?
All right.
All right, good stuff from Tim Hagerty. 20 years with the Padres affiliate, 20.
But you're right about that. That's the person to ask. I mean, even someone like you who has been in the San Diego market, you spent a lot of time covering the Padres. There's a lot of great San Diego reporters that just kind of have a pulse for this team. Everybody is saying the same thing. Like, unless you give him no choice, he's going to want to buy.
Yep, that's how I feel.
You ever have those people that, and I'm not like this, and I don't know how you are, but that friend that's like, if they got any cash in their pocket, if they got any money, it's like, it's gone by the end of the night. I just spend it all. Is I only live once. You know, it's like this
I'm
mentality.
not putting that in the bank, man.
Right?
I don't even have a bank account.
I'm like, you know what? I'll just put it here. We'll leave it alone. And I just won't even invest in it. I'll just, it will just
keep
sit
it
there.
under the
mattress.
mattress.
Just sit there.
Yeah.
But I think there's some people that it's just, it's impossible for them not to spend their money. AJ Preller is one of those. If I got money in my pocket, I'm spending it.
We're going to have post-game reaction when this game goes final. Padres now away from a 5-game winning streak with Mason Miller on the mound. They're leading the Rockies in the ninth, 3-1. We'll react on the other side. Kevin Acee will join us at 5:30. We'll hear from Craig Stammen. Will the Padres be
really good
buyers? I have been good.
You've been really
I don't know about
good.
you, but I've been very good.
Honestly, it's like you're coming in just in the bullpen, a couple on, and you're just shutting them out right now.
Like Mason Miller. All right.
Not that good.
Post-game reaction on the other side. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
Trying to think. All right, our iHeart Radio Music Festival is back. Live performances by the Goo Goo Dolls, Kenny Chesney, Lainey Wilson, Snoop Dogg, Weezer, and more. September 18th and 19th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Now's your chance to buy tickets at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out.
Buy. B-U-Y.
Yeah.
5 straight wins for the Padres. Mason Miller, obviously, a 1-2-3 ninth. A 3-1 win over the Rockies. They sweep the Marlins.
That Reed had buy tickets and also had sell out.
That's right.
So which one are we doing?
Well, buy the tickets to the iHeartRadio Music Festival, but I'm talking to AJ Preller.
Gotcha.
Just as much as I am to the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Alan, they've won 5 straight. We need to be honest with each other. Because you know me, it's like if they lost 5 straight, I'd be like, look in the mirror. You're not who you used to be.
Yep.
But now that you've won 5 straight, look in the mirror like you hit the gym 5 straight days. I'm beginning to see your abs. I haven't seen them in a while, man. Haven't seen those things in a while. But now, like, you're starting to feel a little bit better about yourself, about the bod. How do you feel right now?
Put a shirt on in a week. I refuse to put a shirt on.
But do you agree that do you feel a little different? 5 straight wins. I mean, that's a decent stretch here.
I'm gonna be genuine. I'm gonna be as honest as possible how I feel. I feel like they kind of had no choice. They had to win these games. Now, I'm not saying you go 5-0. You know, if they went 4-1, that'd be very, very impressive. You know, obviously sweeping Miami, getting that 3rd game was key. Yesterday, kind of pulling a rabbit out of the hat in finding a way to beat the Rockies yesterday. They could have easily gone 3-2 over these 5 games. They didn't. They went 5-0. But I'm gonna. Here's what it doesn't make me think they're one of the top 3 teams in the NL.
Don't do it to me right now.
It doesn't make me think they're one of the top 5 teams in all of baseball.
That's okay.
But I think they just beat the teams they needed to beat in front of them. And you do get credit for that. And all these teams got to face the Rockies and the Giants and all that. And sometimes you have a disappointing series like you did against the Kansas City Royals where you lose 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
You lose 3 or 4
series
against Atlanta right after that. So I say that because just as much as it is you're buying because you've won 5 in a row, just as important to that is there are a lot of very mid teams in the NL. And if you can improve your roster and hopefully potentially get some guys back, they just got Jeremiah Estrada back. I know they're probably not going to get Jason Adam back for another month. We'll see what happens with Pivetta and some of these other guys. You should feel a different way about winning 5 games in a row, but I also don't want to make it sound like they just beat, the Braves and the Brewers. That's all I'm saying.
You see this a little bit?
Yeah.
You see like the bicep? I've been doing the 15s like it was 12s.
Like you're going to go start working out or you had started working out?
I'm kidding. But like, just listen to this.
Okay.
The Padres are now the first team out of the NL playoff. They are 1.5 games behind both the Phillies and the Diamondbacks with exactly 1/3 of their season remaining. Exactly 54 games, 108 in the books, 54 remaining.
Arizona just keeps winning.
Arizona has played very well. They've won 2 straight. They're 6-4 in their last 10. The Phillies have been a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we started the show before we knew that the Padres are going to win, but they were leading. Like they're in position to be in position.
Mm-hmm.
Go make the right additions. I'm not saying Tarek Skubal. Just go be additive. It doesn't mean you can't sell off a piece. I just say end result, add the pieces.
Got to get a starting pitcher.
Got to
get a starting pitcher
to get into. Of course you do.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So go add the starting pitcher is what I would say
mm-hmm.
based on where they are right now, and then look up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks and see where they're standing.
Yeah, as long as again there's add a pitcher and then there's reckless. I don't want AJ Preller to be reckless.
Sure.
So you tell me what that balance is.
Okay.
So what's it going to cost to go get a starting pitcher that probably instantly becomes the second best pitcher in your rotation because you don't have anybody past Michael King, who, by the way, in his 3 starts that he's had so far since the All-Star break, he hasn't won any of those games. Now, he hasn't lost them either, but he hasn't won any of those games. The Padres have
2 losses, 1 win, actually, in those 3 starts.
Yesterday,
6 innings, 4 runs.
It's not like he was. It's not. That wouldn't be your ace on most of these other playoff teams.
Agreed.
So, how do you acquire what you need by also not being reckless? During the game, we were talking about Fermin. there was a nice play on Fermin. Fermin doesn't get on, and we're both sitting here during one of the breaks. We're like, that trade was awful. And then we started looking at the pitchers that they gave up.
Berger and Kohler.
Again, how do you not be reckless? Because
just
AJ Preller has I'm all in. I'm only in Vegas this weekend.
But it doesn't cost a lot to go do the opposite of that trade. As in, don't do a bad trade, do a good trade. Go get the Berger Kolek equivalents of 2025 in 2026.
Sure.
For a middling upside regular in the big leagues. Last year, that was Freddie Fermin for Kansas City.
Right.
Is there a player in your system or on your roster that you could spin for 2 back of rotation type starters? You're taking flyers on one of which is going to pan out potentially the second half of the year. As in, you're not moving Ethan Salas or Cash Mayfield or Adrian Morejon to go get the Stephen Kolek and Ryan Berger of 2025 would be my point. So can AJ kind of spin the opposite of that deal and go bring in some projects that can help him right now?
Or is he trading Adrian Morejon?
He might be.
Like, is there a world where there is a price that's so high and so premium for these bullpen guys that you don't have to trade? You don't have to trade Mason Miller, but you could trade a player like Adrian Morejon and clean up some of your other areas, because the bullpen is one of the strong suits and you got so many other weak suits everywhere else.
I'm glad you made this point. And by the way, the Yankees are scouting Adrian Morejon. We knew about Mason Miller. Yeah. I want to make this point because I keep saying buy, and people are going to tell me the second they move any player from their major league roster, see, I told you they're going to sell. No. Here's how you know if they bought or sold.
Okay.
The end result, is it additive or subtractive? Is the end result after the deadline? If they trade Adrian Morejon but add 3 starters, 2 bench pieces, and a reliever, they added. Now, they took away a very good piece in order to do it. If they trade Adrian Morejon, Mason Miller, and Ty France and Michael King and added 2 major leaguers, they subtracted. Mm-hmm. But let's see what the end result is. So there could be a move in which they move a major league player. But if there's 3 other moves to acquire players on their major league roster, that to me is clearly buying.
All right. So after the win, you're right now basically in front of Miami, Pittsburgh, Washington, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. Cincinnati's out of the mix here. But look, you are right about this. I mean, there was a point probably about 2 weeks ago where you're looking at the Padres and they had fell all the way to maybe 11th in the NL. It was something like that. So to now be sitting in 7th in the NL, and I know one game can decide everything, but they're doing the most important thing. The most important thing that they're doing right now is they're just taking care of their own business. I mean, when they go 2-5 over that 7-game stretch out of the All-Star break, but they gained ground, it was by default, right? It's like, you know, the only way you won a race is because the guy you were running against fell, but you still had one of the worst times possible. This, at least, they've put themselves in a position where all they can control is themselves. And even if they are bad teams that they're beating, hey, Miami lost 12 in a row and then just swept the Philadelphia Phillies. So that says something right there, too. And I know Philly's struggling right now, but anybody can beat anybody is the point. And getting these 2 games against the Rockies were just as important as any other 2 games that they've had, even though it was the Rockies.
Last point right now. I'm not telling you they're going to the postseason because I don't know what the next 54 games look like. It's going to be murky. They're going to lose a series again. They're going to be on the ropes again. I'm just telling you, I think they've put their GM and organization in a position where they're adding as opposed to subtracting. Now I don't know what it's going to mean, but I do think ultimately they are adding. All right, we're going to hear from Craig Stammen.
4 games left basically before the deadline.
But I think you're making a decision in the next couple of days.
I don't disagree with you, but I think even if you go 2-2 over those 4 games, you're kind of still in that, all right, nothing's really going to change.
Padres Giants, speaking of 4-game set tomorrow, Kevin Acee joins us at 5:30.
Look at that, August 3rd, who they start with.
4-game set in Arizona. Critical series, but they're all going to be in the second half of the year. Kevin Acee at 5:30. We're going to hear from Craig Stammen, Padres manager, on the other side. Do not go anywhere. Post-game reaction up next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres and Rockies just wrapped up game 2 of their series down at Petco Park. The Friars won 3-1. The next up is a 4-game set against the Giants. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer and San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. You're Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, hour 2 here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're about to hear from Craig Stammen, Alan. Padres win today over the Rockies, complete the mini 2-game sweep, and have won 5 consecutive games. And Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 5:30. So the good play continues for the Padres, who have surged to 2 games over 500 here with the second half now well underway.
You know, there was a good quote yesterday after the game, and yesterday, you know, like I mentioned, what a bizarre game. Padres go up 2-0. Next thing you know, they're down 4-2, tie it at 4. They're down 6-4, tie at 6-6. Yep. The Manny Machado, you know, the what looked like Manny Machado basically walking off as he challenges an ABS call, very next pitch. And the Colorado Rockies, just how many mistakes? I think they had 4 errors yesterday.
Yep.
Michael King said something on just talking about this week. He said, I'd be lying if I said we weren't feeling the pressure. Every time we take the field, it feels like we have to win. So this kind of, you know, to have this type of conversation on July 29th, right? Like to have this type of pressure on July 29th, does that really make, you know, all the sense in the world? It's like, wait, why would there be this much pressure? They feel it for a reason, because they know that Michael King knows if hypothetically there were 5 games below 500, he might not be a San Diego Padre the rest of the season. Each one of these guys, if they do believe in this team and they do believe they can make the postseason together, and that includes Adrian Morejon and Ty France, it includes the stars like Manny Machado. Some of these guys might be playing for their career, potentially could end in San Diego. Not that their career is ending, but their time in SD can. So I thought that was a really interesting quote. They've been feeling the pressure here for a while. And the way Craig Stammen is managing these games, I heard the TV broadcast mention this. I think it might have been over the weekend when they were playing Miami. It might have been that first game against Miami. John, they're managing like these are playoff games. They're managing these games like each one of these games is a postseason game. And I don't know if that's a AJ Preller thing that's coming down. It's like, don't put me in a position where I can't keep investing in this team. And if AJ Preller goes by what he said in the past, I will do things based on what the team tells me to do. Well, they're right in the mix, so I don't really think there's much more. And the fact that Philly dropped 2, there's now 2 spots available.
So we'll hear from Craig Stammen in a moment about the sweep and today. Like, remember the point we were just making? Like, well, does this mean they're on par with like LA or Milwaukee? Of course not. Of course not. But what is the Padres ceiling compared to these teams around them? As in, if you're going to bet on someone, Miami, St. Louis, Arizona, Pittsburgh, even Philadelphia, we could leave them out of the conversation for now if we wanted, but they've played really poorly. So you're telling me that Pittsburgh, the Nats, Arizona, St. Louis, Miami, you feel better. I'm not saying you do.
Yeah.
I'm saying to some of our listeners that still believe, hey, it ain't it. I would sell. I just don't like the makeup here. But if you're doing that, you're saying that these teams are capable of doing it, but you're not. Now, again, only one of these teams or 2 of these teams out of 5 or 6 are going to make it. But I guess my point is I'm taking my chances in a marathon of 162 against Pittsburgh. I'm taking my chances in 162 against Miami. And because of that, I'm betting on the Padres ceiling towards the middle of the National League, not the top of the National League, but I'll bet on the Padres to outrun these middling average teams and find their way in.
Do you at least understand the perspective why a Padre fan would say this ain't the team to invest in?
Yeah, because I would have said the same thing. over parts of the year, but you got to be willing, in my opinion, to change your tune based on the real-time play. It's like saying, hear me out, and I do understand it. I'm just offering my opinion. I completely understand it. It's like saying, Manny Machado's had a bad season. Yeah, but he's had a great month. So I don't particularly find April 11th relevant to the Manny Machado conversation today. You can make it relevant if you want. You can tell me he's hitting 215. You can. I'll tell you he's hitting 315 with 7 homers in July. So I'm just saying, in the real time, the way I'm breaking it down in real time, I understand a varying opinion. I just disagree with it right now.
Yeah, I think I understand where a Padre fan's coming from that says, I don't believe in this team. Because it's not like I'm completely sold on this squad either. And it's not like I believe that they have the starting pitching to really make any noise. I mean, you have to have starting pitching to make noise.
That's a different conversation.
It's a different conversation, but it's the conversation of kind of what they do over these next couple of days. We'll find out. They add a starting pitcher. Maybe that changes the tune for everybody. But here's what I'm not going to do, because I've seen enough of this Padres team. I think at this point, if you're this close, as long as you're not reckless, I think they should buy.
Okay, there we go.
But if there's somebody sitting right next to me saying, Al, I've seen this song and dance before.
Mm-hmm.
And this team, who is less talented than previous teams, I just wouldn't invest in this team specifically. Somebody could be good for a month, but we're not talking about the Padres went 20-10 over 30 days.
No, but they have been good recently.
They've been good recently over a week.
9-5 in their last 14.
All right. Okay. But let's take a 30-day stretch of it. Is it probably close to 500?
Yeah, of course it is.
So
their team is 500.
So, but the point is that if you want to use the Manny Machado example of he's been good for 30 days,
really good,
then don't you want to use a 30-day kind of average for the Padres as well?
Happy to do it. Because these other teams have not been better.
So I think then the case that you're making more than the Padres is the competition.
Correct.
Okay. Now that's okay to make that case, but I think that should be highlighted more. That doesn't necessarily mean that you believe that the San Diego Padres team has a legit chance in the postseason.
No, it goes back to my point. Like, compare them to Pittsburgh, Miami, St. Louis. I don't want to compare them to the Dodgers and the Brewers today. I think it's fair to not do that. I'm not going down that path. I'm also
and it
not
also
telling
wouldn't make
you,
any sense to do that.
I'm also not telling you they're making the postseason. But I don't understand why, before I was about to start a mile-long race with the Pirates and the Cardinals and the Marlins, I would back out of the race. I feel as if I'm running the mile against the Pirates and the Marlins and the Cardinals, I'm going to run the race. Why would I let them lean into the race and me lean out of the race when I think, all things being equal, I got a better ceiling than those teams have?
Then I think that's the best case to make of why you buy, is because the other teams that are also fighting for a playoff spot, you feel like we're better than them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you feel like we have a higher ups, or you feel like there's more vets here that, have been in situations like this. I think of all the teams that we just talked about, when the dust settles, the Padres are going to be fighting with Philadelphia and Arizona for those final 2 spots. I think those will be the
very
2 teams.
possible.
I think those will be the 2 teams. Now we'll see what all these teams, how aggressive they are. Some of the teams that we just mentioned, what if Miami decides, the same day we're going to sell?
Some of these teams are going to sell.
I agree.
I don't know who, and it could be San Diego. I mean, I'm not in charge, obviously. That's their determination. I'm just saying, if I was in charge, I'm going to see the thing 2026 because of all the reasons we just discussed. 1, my team has put pressure on me by winning 5 consecutive games. 2, the rest of the National League, other than the top of it, ain't it. That combination, plus the fact that Machado, Merrill, and Tatis have all been good recently, is at least enough optimism to see it through for me. You agree. I know you're kind of playing devil's advocate because you think they're going to buy.
Yeah, but I don't. Again, it's not even that I'm going against your argument, but I get a case of a Padre fan saying, I don't think this is the team. Like I'm not, this isn't the argument for me to push back on and be like, you're completely wrong. What are you talking about? Because I've watched enough of this team as well from, you and I have watched. They could have easily gone 3-2 over these last 5 games.
Sure.
But they went 5-0. Give them the credit. I mean, I don't want to take any credit away, or I don't want to take anything away from them, but we've watched them enough to also know this team's been very inconsistent. Now, because all of a sudden these bats are, their offense is much better than it was earlier in the season, but it is going to come down for them if they can find starting pitching.
I mean, dude, to your point, they lost 8 straight games this month. I mean, that continued into July.
That's right.
They lost 8 consecutive games within the last month. I'm not telling you adversity isn't striking again. I've watched this team long enough to know it's almost an inevitability.
Sure, of course.
But that doesn't mean they can't rattle off another 5-game win streak like they're in right now, or they can't take 3 out of 4 from San Francisco. All of a sudden you look up, you go 8-1 over a 9-game stretch. Listen, their backs are completely against the wall. I'm with the Michael King quote. If they did go 2-3 here, they're probably selling. And you say, well, are you serious? They're going to buy based on the 3-game variance from 2-3 to 5-0? I tell you, yeah, because I know how Preller operates. I think, look around the National League, look at AJ Preller, look at this team, and still they're ceiling in the middle of the National League. I think you put it all together. And again, I'm with you. I don't want them to be negligent. If they trade Ethan Salas away for some rental piece that's a starter, I would come on the air and be like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But if they trade away their 17th and 18th ranked prospects that I've never heard of in AA and add a number 3 starter, I'll be like, I'll applaud it.
You know what this also could be? It could be that just, listen, I think there are also a lot of fans out there, and I feel the same way. When I see some of these young stars excelling that were in the Padres system, James Wood, CJ Abrams, I think there's this like fear of, please don't have another one of these players representing the NL in the All-Star game down the road.
Of course. And those players were such blue chip players. We knew it was a distinct possibility. They traded Juan Soto for those players. The Nationals only did it because of the upsides of James Wood and CJ Abrams. You only trade Mason Miller away for the upside of Leo DeVries. When you trade, like I'm saying, if you traded for the equivalent of Ryan Bergert and Steven Kolick, hopefully you're not trading away the next CJ Abrams.
Sure.
Or the next James Wood.
Sure.
We'll hear from Craig Stammen. On the other side, Kevin Acee will join us live at 5:30. Don't go anywhere. Post-game reactions to the Padres winning a 5th straight game, moving to within a game and a half of a wild card spot. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it is Schaefer again for my friends at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. You're going to love their hotel and spa this summer at Jamul, where you can experience elevated luxury with their refined hotel stay and rooftop relaxation. They've got the indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. You can take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. You got to get out there and check out Starlight Pool this summer. Next level chill. Soak up the sun, soak in the views at San Diego's ultimate rooftop pool. Day passes starting at just $40, so grab your friends, relax, and make it a pool day to remember. And while you're there, check out all the dining options, including Jamul 23, with their lobster buffet every day. You can enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every single day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30 a.m., with made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites. Get out there this summer. The all-new Jamul Casino Resort.
All right, SDFC is back on the road on Saturday when they take on the Minnesota United. Our pre-match coverage with Adrian and Darren will begin at 5 p.m. on your home for SDFC. San Diego Sports 760. Just a quick little 3 points. That's all we're asking for. Let's just kind of keep moving up in those standings here in the Western Conference.
Three's good. Three's really good. I think we'll win to get 3 points. All right, let's hear from Craig Stanley.
Awesome breakdown there.
What do you got, Brett?
Turn your mic on.
Why don't you turn my mic on? You're back. If my mic is off, as opposed to voicing through the glass to turn my mic on, just turn it on.
Let me be the middleman here and figure out how we can get this.
Okay, but here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to hear from Craig Stammen.
Come back.
Padres manager.
Turn Stammen's mic on.
We'll turn Stammen's mic on. We'll turn our mics off. This is Stammen's thoughts on the overall game today for the Padres.
Yeah, pretty good. You know, anytime you only give up one run in a game, you feel pretty good about it. So those guys did their job. They pitched in their lanes, and they really did exceptional. It wasn't just that they pitched well, but they pitched very well, as good as they can pitch. So pitch like that, you know, we're going to win a lot of ball games.
You've been talking, all you guys, for a long time about how you could go on a run. The fact that you are, you know, kind of starting one now, what does that say?
It's just how baseball goes, you know. Eventually, if you stick with it, keep a good attitude, continue to work hard, you know, show up to the ballpark every day ready to go. Eventually, you're going to figure out a way to get on a good streak, and the schedule is going to be favorable to you, and you're just going to go for it. Bats will get hot, defense will keep playing good, pitching will kind of come together at the same time, and that's what we've kind of seen over the last 5 days.
When those guys are pitching as well as they were today, as you said they were, is it hard to stay disciplined and stay like, these are the lanes we're going for, and not give them a couple extras?
Yeah, you're right. You kind of, like, Griffin Canning's pitching so well today, only giving up one hit, you know, picks the runner off first base. He's really good at controlling the running game, fielding in position. He was throwing strikes. You know, he probably could have went a little farther, but you know, when you have it planned out the way we have planned it out and spent time doing it, we feel much better about us sticking to the plan and going that way. Will it burn us one time? Maybe, but you'd rather take a pitcher out before than after. And I think that's kind of the strategy that we're going for.
Canning, do you see his stuff potentially playing up in this role in maybe shorter bursts?
Yeah, I do. I think, and I experienced it myself coming out of the bullpen. There's just a little extra adrenaline. There's a little less pressure of it being like, this is your day to pitch. And you kind of spread that over all the games instead of just one specific game. And then the other part of it is the other team doesn't know who to game plan for either. And, you know, they could try to game plan for everybody at the same time, but usually when there's a starter name, they can game plan for that guy a little bit more specifically and a little bit harder. And, the way we've mixed and matched, and until there's a pattern to it, it'll be difficult for the opposing teams.
How big is it to have Estrada back in your bullpen right now?
Yeah, very big. I think a little worried after he walked the first guy, but pretty happy after he struck the next three out. So, good outing from him to get back in the swing of things. And we saw that, that fastball playing the way it should there at the end.
From your view, Hart, who's been pretty reliable, there were times where maybe like his second inning out, maybe he wasn't. Like, what has made him reliable lately?
Yeah, I think a little bit of confidence for himself and knowing he's been pitching well for a while. Some of the results haven't kind of gone his way, but he's stuck with it. He's kept making improvements. He keeps getting better. Every time we see him pitch, it looks like he keeps getting better, which is a hard thing to do throughout the season, but he's doing it. And I think that gives you confidence. When you feel yourself becoming a better pitcher, you feel like, all right, I can handle this. And he continues to show us that he can handle the load, and he's done very well, in this role that he's been in.
The game that Jake had today, from the play in the first inning, the sack bunt, all that, this is kind of you talk about it all the time. Anytime you ask about Jake, he's so much more than what the box score shows. Is this kind of that?
Yeah, exactly. He's capable of doing a lot of things. Is he the best at anything? You could argue he's pretty good at defense. He's pretty good at laying a bunt down. He's pretty good at hitting. He's pretty good at base stealing. He's pretty good at running. He's good at everything. He's a jack of all trades. And, that is a good player to have on a baseball team, because we've got a lot of other players that are very exceptional at specific things. And he kind of rounds it all out together with being able to do all the little things.
Do you have a pitcher for tomorrow? I'm guessing.
TBD.
And would Bueller
we'll know tonight.
would Bueller be lined up for Friday or Saturday, or do you know that yet?
What is today? Today's Wednesday. He would be on his normal 5-day routine. So
Not counting the off day.
Not counting the off day. So it'd be like the first day would be the first day back. So 5 days after Monday, whatever day that is. I'm not there yet. 4 days off, pitch on the 5th day. Yeah.
All right. So day by day, Padres are winning. This pitching chaos that's playing out. 3 innings from a starter, 3 innings from a reliever, get to the back end. For at least a week has worked. Will it work for 2 or 3? Stay tuned. Will it need to? Will they acquire starters? Stay tuned.
But I do think there's a piece of it. They're not doing this as a luxury. It's a necessity. They don't have a choice. So I think what you said is the most important thing. You know, maybe it makes it a little bit easier on some of these guys. Griffin Canning knows I can't go 5 or 6 innings.
Right.
I just got to. Can I give them 2 2/3? Can I give them 3 innings and get the hell out of the way? Does that not maybe simplify it for some of these pitchers, that it's not all on their back, that, hey, we'll do this by committee? Again, I'm not telling you that this is ideal. I don't think there are a lot of teams out there that are saying, hey, this is our strategy to go win a World Series. But I think just the situation that they're in, the fact that they've just had such unreliable pitching, and there is this, you know, whether you like it or not, late July, your season's on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so these last couple of weeks, their season has been on the line because of the trade deadline. Once we get past the trade deadline, our conversations completely change. It has nothing to do with who you're adding or who you're subtracting or any of that stuff.
Can you outrun these teams?
Now it's just, this is what we got.
Yep.
And how can we make the best of it? But today, the way Stammen is managing, the way the team is playing, Michael King saying there's pressure on each one of these games to win, it feels like each one of these games are amplified. They are, because based on what you do is going to determine whether you're going to get help or not.
One thing they've been consistently good at this year is beating bad teams. And that continued this week.
By the way, that's not nothing.
That's how you get to the playoffs.
That's how you get to the postseason.
And I look at the second half schedule, it remains soft. We said they had the 4th easiest schedule in the sport heading out of the All-Star break. They've taken advantage of that to some extent. If they continue to do that, again, they don't have to go. I think people should recognize they have 54 games left. There was a point earlier like, oh, do they have to go like 35-18? No. No. They just have to play well enough. Like, even if one team plays
these
well,
other squads in the wild card are gonna,
and one can now because 2 have come back. Like, now you're chasing down 2 spots, not 1. So now one team can't run away from you right now. It would have to be 2 teams running away from you. I think it changes the calculus in how you approach this because Philadelphia has played so poorly. I mean, there's quotes at ESPN from Don Mattingly, the acting manager.
That's what I'm looking at right now.
Saying we need to play better. Everyone in Philadelphia is saying the same thing they were saying in San Diego a week ago. Sell, sell, sell.
Remember Philly, weren't they 10 games below 500 before they fired their manager?
10-12 over.
Don Mattingly took over. He said at this point, by the way, this just kind of gives you an idea because I know we get stuck in just the lens of what's happening here in San Diego, as we should. That's the squad we're watching on a night in, night out basis. But it ain't perfect in a lot of other teams as well. I'll read this from Don Mattingly. He said, at this point, we find out who we are. Now's the time that we're going to find out what we're made of. With our struggle, we let everybody stay in the race. So we find out who we are over these next couple of months. Bryce Harper had something, I don't know when he said it, but he was pretty vocal about the team needing to be active prior to the trade deadline. This is Bryce Harper. I don't even know how that would go. Like, what if Manny said, or Tatis is like, hey, we need help? I don't know how that would go. I don't know if San Diegans would be like, well, you got to do better. I don't know how they would say
They would maybe say that.
But Bryce Harper is clinging to ownership in the front office in Philadelphia, who everybody just assumed was going to have no problem making the postseason this year. We need more.
Yeah, and I think if the Phillies are buying, why aren't the Padres? What's the reason? Both have spent a lot. Both have aging cores. Both have superstars. Both are within a game of each other. 1.5 games.
I don't know if that's the proper comparison. I would like you comparing that more to Arizona.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, because if Arizona's going to buy,
I do think Philadelphia, their ceiling is. It seems a lot higher than it would be than the Padres.
They slaughtered the Padres head to head. There's no question about that.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about they got real starting pitching, guys that you feel like in a postseason series can keep it close. They got guys that are in a home run derby that are actually playing games where it feels like it's a home run derby.
If Arizona is buying, why aren't the Padres? Would be my argument.
I think that's the right comp. And Arizona and the Padres will probably both be fighting for that final wild card spot. We'll see what happens. Maybe Philly just collapses. It'd be phenomenal if they do. But that, to me, is the right comp. And coming into the season, there was never a conversation, nor should there have been a conversation about the Padres and the Dodgers or Arizona and the Dodgers. It should have been about the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks fighting for number 2.
And I think, honestly, there has been that conversation, and it will play out in the final 50 games or so of the year, including head-to-head. And I think the Padres have outplayed Arizona head-to-head this year. They lead the season series right now. We'll see what they do next week in Phoenix. 4-game set and a big one. All right, the wrap on the other side. Kevin Acee at 5:30. We're here until 6. We'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to see Santana coming up this hour. Be listening for a chance to win those Santana tickets in San Diego. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres defeated the Rockies 3-1 today to win their series down at Petco Park. Their next set is going to be against the Giants starting tomorrow. In NFL news, former Charger defensive lineman Billy Ray Smith Jr. has passed away at the age of 64. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago, and only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, be listening for a chance to win that 4-pack of tickets to see Santana. We'll let you know when to call to win those tickets. That'll be this hour. That's sad news about Billy Ray Smith, 10 years with the Chargers, longtime media personality.
Yeah.
Sadly passing at the age of 64, as Brent just made you aware of. That is sad news for San Diegans and Charger fans and those that have been listening to the radio over the years.
Yeah, definitely. Him and obviously Scott Kaplan, Scott BR had a phenomenal show together for a number of years. Worked with him back in the day at Mighty 1090, so RIP to him. He's definitely a legend in San Diego.
All right, Jeff Passan has some strong words about what the Padres should do with Mason Miller, and we'll share those with you coming up at 4:45. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Should the Padres buy or sell?
I think at this point, I mean, it's crazy how how things change. It's funny. I've been listening to some podcasts, a lot of them around the Padres, and everybody's like basically said the same thing over the last week. Hey, they got to go through a stretch where this is their record in order for them to be buyers. Well, they're 5-0 in their last 5. And if there's 4 more games that are left to kind of determine this stretch against the San Francisco Giants, say you split it, you went 2-2. That's 7-2 over those 9 games. I don't think you could really ask for anything more. And hopefully this is kind of, the Padres have a second gear. Hopefully there is kind of some additional juice if they do buy, so that we can be looking at them as a team that, hey, maybe this team can actually be a headache come postseason, not just squeeze in and try to get one of those, wild card spots. So I think with that, yeah, it feels like they're going to be buyers, and it feels like they should be buyers. But I'm going to go back to the same thing that I told you. Just don't be reckless. That's it. Don't be reckless.
What was this? Who did Justin Timberlake sing for when he said bye, bye, bye?
Britney Spears.
No, but it was like at 98 degrees or something. Was that Britney Spears? Bye, bye, bye.
He was in sync. You meant what group?
In sync. Yeah. Bye, bye, bye.
That was in sync.
I have
MTV
no idea.
days?
Where's this going?
Bye, bye, bye. And I'm with you. I don't want them to be reckless, but guess what? If we're on the air and they trade for, it's not going to happen. But if we're on the air and they trade for Tarek Skubal, I'm not going to sit there and be like, how could you do it? Now, other names I might. Okay, they trade for Skubal. They gave up Ethan Salas. What would you say? I like sexy objects. I like shiny things.
Yeah.
So what would you say? It's Tarek Skubal.
I would say, please compete for a World Series.
I agree.
Please.
I don't think they're going to do it, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. Next question.
Which team are you most worried about in the wild card chase?
So, here's where I'm confused here is Philly has threw me off here.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel like Philly was going to be in the mix. You just assumed that Philly wouldn't be.
Right.
Can I still assume that Philadelphia is just going to figure their stuff out?
No. They were 9-19 this year.
Then I would be most concerned with Philly. But that means there's 2 spots. So if you told me I only have 1 spot, Arizona by far to me is the squad that will go head to head with the Padres the rest of the way.
True.
That's the team that I would say. And that's how it was supposed to be. Like, I think before the season started, the conversation was all about who's second in the NL West. All right, if it is the San Diego Padres, how far is Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get 3 NL West teams into the postseason? Now, Philly would have to get out of that picture. So I think between the St. Louis's, the Pittsburghs, the Nationals, Miami, it's Arizona. And Arizona's trying to win right now.
Yeah, 57 and 52. Here's the thing about that question. I want to see what these teams do. Like, this conversation to me is completely different if the Diamondbacks land Tarek Skubal. This conversation is completely different if the Phillies do. So I think now, and I think you said either on air or off air, and I agree. I think it's a 3-horse race. Eventually along the way, Philadelphia, Arizona, San Diego vying for 2 spots. I think that's where we're eventually heading. Maybe the Nats or someone else makes a run.
Much better odds than it was 2 weeks ago.
Like 17 for
Philly
one
also
spot.
was it? There was a point where you thought, is Philly going to overtake Atlanta?
There was a point where the Phillies and Padres are separated by at least 7 games. At least. And now it's a game and a half. I mean, just look right now. Padres are 7-3 in their last 10. Phillies are 2-8. They've made up 5 games on Philadelphia in 10 days.
Sure.
So they're going from 6.5 to 1.5. So I think it'll ultimately be a 3-horse race, but I need to see what these teams do. Next question.
Do you think the Dodgers land Tariq Skubal?
What was the report we saw? Sent it to you.
Yeah, it's basically something that because there's some doubt here on Shohei pitching, that they could potentially be more aggressive.
Yep.
I'm going to say no, and I'm just going to say no because I do think that there's other teams out there that understand if you want a legitimate shot at winning a World Series, then you probably got to get Skubal on your team.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I think because of that, I don't think the Dodgers get him. I'll ask you this question because I have no idea. Are Glasnow and Snell, have they been pitching at all? Do we know?
What is their current status?
And by the way, like this just to me is just this.
No.
Yeah, it's just this. We'll put them on the shelf until we need them. Now, I'm not telling you that they don't have injuries. They don't have something.
Yeah,
but,
neither of them.
But there's been kind of a strategy here of just we'll use them when we need them. And I don't know if that's the same strategy this season. That's the luxury that the Dodgers have that I don't think anybody else in baseball has.
I wonder, though, if they'll have that luxury this year. Blake Snell's made 1 appearance. So are you counting on him? And then the last time Tyler Glasnow threw was May 10th. So you're way removed from them having any role for your team.
But you're getting into this window again. We're not following them, but you're getting into this window just like we're talking about with Pivetta and Musgrove. You're going to have to see them in the next 30 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's going to have to be some ramp up and everything else.
Absolutely. What was the question?
Do the Dodgers get Tariq Skubal?
Chocolate ice cream or vanilla?
I don't think they land him because I think there's other teams that are also going to be motivated. I think they'll try to land him, but I think ultimately someone else will have potentially a better offer. So it is possible, and maybe Ohtani factors into it, but I also think it's possible he ends up elsewhere.
I'll shoot my shot now. I think he ends up in Milwaukee. Yeah.
Milwaukee's a possibility too.
By the way, that's what we're talking about. Ethan Salas. We're talking about all these other. If the San Diego Padres had the same record as the Brewers right now, had that good of a team, and had that many disappointments in the playoffs, freaking go after Skubal. Absolutely, they should.
Next question.
Has Tatis's play lately surprised you over the last couple of months?
There was a point you said something to me that it was like the lowest point of the Tatis tenure era as a San Diego Padre.
Low points, yeah.
But you said something earlier this year, and I think it was a couple months ago, and you're like, this was my favorite player.
Yep.
And look how much we've just lowered the bar and lowered. I think it's probably the time when he had no home runs.
Probably.
I've been really surprised with what he's been able to do since then. And now you got that same confidence in Tatis that you probably had a couple of years ago. Now it's different. He's not the same player. He doesn't have, 40 bombs.
Yeah.
But he's dangerous. And he's dangerous every time he comes up. Yesterday goes 5 for 5 with 5 singles and then starts today with a single. So I think 6 straight hits in a row. I've been impressed. I mean, especially take, where we were in that conversation about Tatis.
Yeah, I mean,
a couple months ago.
I like the play of Tatis over the last 2 months, but I do recognize he is a different player. Like 750 OPS guy is not who we signed up for. He was a 900 OPS guy his first 3 years.
Sure.
Even his career numbers, he's over 850. He's 750 this year. It feels like he's always on base, but to your point, all 6 of those hits were singles. I'm taking them. I have no issue with a 5 for 5 game. It's incredible. I hope it continues. I've been impressed by Merrill recently.
Yeah.
So if Merrill, Machado, and Tatis are going to be good in the second half of the year, I got no problems with that. Like, I think that alone is probably bigger than the deadline. If you told me right now Merrill, Tatis, and Machado are good for 54 games, that's
not as
more
big
important.
as the deadline, just because, again, we go back to it, they need pitching.
But I mean, Merrill, Tatis, and Machado are also pretty darn important.
100% they are. But, brother, can you win games in the playoffs without pitching?
Let's get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they can get there without pitching.
I was going to say, how about just get through these last couple of months without pitching?
If what is preventing them from being, in your mind or other people's mind, a viable team, not even a contender, if their viability hangs on them adding starting pitching, then here's my guess. They'll add starting pitching. That's my guess. So if we're waiting for them to add a starting pitcher, what are we going to be saying if they add a starting pitcher or two? Is we're going to say, oh, that's what they needed. Now they've done it.
How do Padres typically win games? Over the course of these last couple of years, they're not winning 8-6.
Right, pitching and defense.
So there's a little bit, and don't get me wrong. I mean, ask Jeff Passan. Passan would tell you that ain't going to get it done in the postseason.
Right. He'd say the offense.
We've heard him say that before, and some of that's played out. So there is something about the slug. So I think with that in mind, yes, you do need Jackson Merrill. Yes, you do need Tatis. You need Machado. But what good is it if you're giving up 5 or 6 runs? And I know they've been able to kind of piecemeal some of these games. And unfortunately, these bats, they're going to go through slumps. They're going to start facing aces, and it's going to look a lot different when you're facing Miami versus when you're facing.
I agree.
Or when you're facing the Rockies.
Colorado. Like 3-1 today, is that going to work against a team like Milwaukee? All right. On the other side, what Jeff Passan has to say about Mason Miller's future. Is it in San Diego or not? Plus, we'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to see Santana on the other side. And Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, joining us at 5:30 on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Kevin Acee is going to join us at 5:30, Alan. You know Kevin. Our Padres insider.
Yeah.
He'll join it. Turn your mic on. Lord.
I do know him. You are just something
spicy.
Else. No, it's not even spicy.
Mild. Somewhere in between. What?
Guy. Don't.
All right, good show. Let's go to that.
Okay?
We talked about the Padres. Let's go to network. We're good. Now Kevin's going to join us at 5:30. We're giving away Santana tickets in the next 7 minutes. We'll tell you when to call to win a 4-pack of tickets to see Santana. We have the Jeff Passan sound, Brett. This is interesting. This is from before today's game. Remember yesterday we read you that Passan was saying, I don't see it with the Padres. This team ain't it, essentially, is what he said. This is what he had to say today about Mason Miller's future.
Yes. And here's why. Where the Padres are right now, they need long-term starting pitching help. And last year, they went for it. They gave up Leo DeVries, who's the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, to go and get Mason Miller. And he's been incredible. He is by far the best reliever in Major League Baseball right now. And if the Padres didn't have some of these depth problems that they do, then I would say hold on to him. But you also have to look at the rest of the Padres bullpen. They've done an excellent job in recent years of cobbling together a super pen. And I think that's the sort of thing that can be replicated. Going out and getting starting pitching, on the other hand, is going to take money. And when the Padres have all their money tied up in Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, so on and so forth, they're just not going to have that unless Jose Feliciano, their new owner, comes in and says, you know what, I'm not going to spend like a small market owner here. I'm going to crank the payroll over the luxury tax threshold and keep it there and make sure to reward this franchise in the same way that Peter Seidler did when he was the owner.
So he said, yes, they should move Mason Miller, to be clear. That's how it started. Yes, they should trade Mason Miller. Oh, interesting.
Do you think that, so let me, do you think that's a hot take?
No, it's not a hot take.
Yeah.
No, it's not a hot take.
Yeah, I still think, Jeff Passan can look at it from a perspective like a national scope.
Yeah, more objective, certainly.
Well, maybe more objective, but also he's not in the weeds in San Diego every single day.
Sure.
He maybe doesn't know what Mason Miller has meant to the Padres in just this brief amount of time.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not paying attention to what the Padres gave up to get Mason Miller and then 1 year later to trade out Mason Miller. But I think the point that he's making is if you can get potential future arms for Mason Miller, because that's what the San Diego Padres need, are so desperate for. I don't think it's a crazy take.
No,
I don't think it's going to happen.
Either do I.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens. Is it true they could get the biggest haul for Miller? Yeah, of course. But is it also true they could address starting pitching without moving Mason Miller? I think the answer is yes. I don't think the only way to address starting pitching is by trading Mason Miller.
Yeah, I wish maybe in that conversation there was more of a, well, what do you think you can get for Adrian Morejon? And can they address some of their needs with Adrian Morejon? By the way, I don't want to see Morejon go anywhere. I mean, you got to give up something. So
yep.
I'm sure that whatever is an asset today, I'm sure AJ Preller is hoping to keep, because if you are going to make a run this year, I don't know how much better you get by taking Adrian Morejon off your team.
Yeah.
And that goes the same with Ty France or Michael King or any of these other guys that have expiring contracts.
Right. And by the way, I recognize there's going to be a lot of potential buyers and they may have a hard time filling their holes. I mean, it's going to be challenging. There's a lot of teams that are going to be in on the same type of player that the Padres would be in on. So do they have the assets that are necessary for them to fully address their rotation? Maybe not. I don't think it'll ever be fully addressed. They're not adding 3 starting pitchers. That will be their 2, 3, and 4 starters in their rotation would be my guess. I think they're going to hopefully add a starting pitcher or 2 that can help them. And then maybe Nick Pivetta or Joe Musgrove will have something to say down the stretch.
Look, that's the, let me give you the perfect scenario. You want a perfect scenario going in and
I do.
Padres make the postseason? They trade for a starting pitcher. What did you say, 1.5 yesterday?
1.5 starting pitchers.
Okay.
Exactly 1.5.
And I know what you mean by that, but You obviously add
like a long man,
a couple of arms, right? You start getting some positive news about some of these players that are out. Specifically, I mean, your arms. Maybe Andujar figures out a way to come back. Like, you do need things to go your way, but the way the Padres roster today could look drastically different in a month. But it's a big if, right? And they could be a lot more dangerous in a month, but it's a big if. They also could trade, or they could also buy at the deadline, and come September 1st be four out of a wild card spot, and it's looking like it's going in the other direction. So, and then those who are asking to sell will then sit back and say, what the hell? I told you guys, why the hell didn't you guys do it? But we don't know until we play it out.
We don't know. And you are right. That will play out, of course, and nobody knows what the future is going to look like. But there is also a scenario where you add pieces and you play better as a result.
Yep.
And then what we will be saying is this is the reason why they didn't sell. Doesn't mean they're going to win the World Series right now.
But if they get to the postseason and get into a wild card spot and are out in the wild card spot, then people are going to go back to, well, why the hell did you invest into this team?
But all back what you said, which is you want those moments.
Yeah, you have to.
I want those moments. I think it's more enjoyable for the fan base to have like a seat at the table than not have the seat. Like, who roots for your team? I'm not saying people are, but just hear me for a second. Who roots for the long-term viability of their franchise? It's like you root for the stock market. You invest in the market.
No, I disagree in that. I think you have to, if you want to be a franchise that is, it's like, how do I put this? I don't know if I have a great example for it, but I do think you have to think from a long-term perspective. And
AJ Preller's got to do that.
Yeah, but if we're watching AJ Preller not doing that, then you're going to have fans like, hey, at some point this bill's going to be due. And every time they've made a move, yes, at the moment it's sexy, it's fun, Vegas is awesome. Yep. I can't believe I spent that much money. You're going to eventually get home and be like, I don't have what the hell's my credit card statement look like?
True, but was it a good time? As in, do they make the postseason? Even if they don't win the World Series.
Let's look. This is I think the core difference. Their goal was what? Legitimately, they told you, what is the goal? What was Peter Seiler's goal? Every move they made, their goal was what?
But that was years ago.
But even the players that they have today represents years ago.
What were your goals?
What do you mean?
What were your realistic goals for this team? To make the postseason or to win the World Series? Now.
Okay, but I'm going to go back to what I was saying. Their goals years ago, from let's call it 2022 to where we're sitting today.
Even before, but yeah.
Even before. The goal was, okay, I know. They don't win a World Series. Get to a World Series and see what happens, right? That was the goal.
Sure.
They never accomplished that goal.
They didn't, but what can we do about it now?
But the point is that, like, if anybody is hesitant, they're hesitant because they never accomplished that goal.
Sure.
And you still got a lot of these players that are still on the roster and the team that were a part of that, that World Series goal.
I'm hesitant to sell because I've watched organizations like Colorado, Miami, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Anaheim, and they're all in different markets, by the way, sell a lot and not turn the thing over effectively.
And they're wrong for doing that. But I think you can look at the other side and look at a team that just bought all the time, and they're probably wrong on that.
But I prefer what we've seen in San Diego over what has been seen, for example, in Baltimore.
I get that. I mean, but look who we're comparing. Like, I don't know if for me it's a preference of style. I just want to see results. Yeah. And however you get those results, I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah,
it could
I
be,
see what you're saying.
If you're telling me I'm watching an NFL game and this squad keeps winning 10-7 and it's the ugliest football game, if it's my football team and we're winning, I don't care how it gets done.
I agree. All right. At 5:30, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. If you want a 4-pack of tickets to see Santana, call us right now and be caller 4. You are going 877-767-4760. Call right now, though. Free 4-pack of tickets to see Santana with the Doobie Brothers. August 11th, coming up. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Caller 4. You have 4 free tickets, but call right now. 877-767-4760. You'll hear from inside the clubhouse on the other side. And Kevin Acee at 5:30 on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres defeated the Rockies 3-1 in their game 2 of their series today down at Petco Park to take both games of that series. Their next set is against the Giants starting tomorrow down at Petco. In NFL news, former Chargers defensive lineman Billy Ray Smith Jr. has passed away at the age of 64. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago, and only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer. San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Your Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, final hour today. Schaefer and Sliwa. Kevin Acee out will join us coming up in about 27 minutes. Padres winning a fifth straight game. Getting right back into that wild card conversation. Trade deadline is approaching. It is a good time of year.
Have we brought up the trade deadline at all?
We have not. On this show?
Should we bring it up?
Not in the past 5 minutes.
We should mention it.
Should we talk about it?
Because baseball has a deadline, a trade deadline.
So you can move players.
You can't. You don't have to. But the way you're saying it is like you have to move your players. You don't have to.
Everyone's got to go.
Everyone. No, not like that. The thing with basketball, not necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, we've covered NBA trade deadlines, and NFL trade deadlines aren't really a thing.
Okay, I got to think a little unique perspective.
But like NBA, what I was going to say is like when players move, like you're very aware of like the names in the NBA, right? Where like the Padres, it's so much different with 100 players in your minor league system, and then the other 29 clubs, and it's so regional to sport. You're not watching national televised games of the Reds. You're not watching Hunter Green, Red starter every single night. So
you could have Yankee fans being like, Adrian who?
Yeah, exactly.
And they could be huge baseball fans and just not who know who Morejon is.
That's why I think this time of year is a little different in baseball compared to the other sports because like people get all enamored and fascinated, but it's like, what are you really necessarily enamored or fascinated for?
Okay, but I will say this, and this is from somebody who's covered the NBA for about 10 years and through all those trade deadlines and everything else.
Yeah.
This isn't my first year necessarily covering a baseball trade deadline. Because when I was up in LA, obviously we're talking about all the sports, but this is my first time doing it in San Diego.
San Diego, yeah.
I actually think there's a lot of hype behind the deadline.
Tons.
So even if it's not the NBA trade deadline, which kills it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
NBA free agency, which kills it.
Yeah.
Right. I think this deadline, I mean, we've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks now. Is that because does this has more to do? It's almost has less to do with the players. It has more to do with the position that the Padres are in.
Yes and no. If they were 60-30, having a historically good year in first place in the NL West, we'd be spending a lot of time on the deadline though. Be like, what is the piece that makes them the favorite to win the World Series? Mm-hmm. And if they were 30-60, you'd spend the whole summer talking about who's gone from this roster.
Guys. Yeah,
but I'm with you. Like I like this time of year. In San Diego specifically, because I feel like there is a ton of attention on the deadline. When you're in a city that has just one of the 4 major sports, this gets a lot of the attention. It's like in the NBA, to your point, you cover the NBA. You sense it and see it. The free agency period is almost as impactful as when the Lakers are actually playing their actual games.
Sure.
The way people are paying attention.
And the way they're consuming the content and everything.
Exactly. That's how I feel about the trade deadline.
I think, I mean, and again, my first, at least here in San Diego, I feel like it's got a lot of buzz. Oh,
there's a ton of buzz.
And maybe you're right about one of the top 4 pro teams, but I still think there's more to it than that. I feel like maybe there is a little bit of that intrigue that comes with the NBA that's shifting towards baseball as well in regards to that.
Listen to this. We have the Jay Cronenworth, Brent. So Jay Cronenworth in the clubhouse about the identity of this club. Mm-hmm. This is Jay Cronenworth just a few moments ago.
How we're playing right now, I think is, the true identity of this club. Obviously AJ's, I'm sure he's doing what AJ usually does and on the phone 24/7. But we just got to keep continuing to play really good baseball and continue to play what we're doing. We obviously got an important 4-game series here before the deadline on Monday. It's our job to go out and play really well.
All right. So the true identity of the team, according to Jay Cronenworth, is what they've done against Miami and Colorado.
Don't say it like that.
Right?
I know. No, I think that sounds funny when you put it that way. Well, I give Cronenworth some credit here. I mean, Cronenworth, very comfortable in his role. That's twice he's brought up AJ Preller.
He has, hasn't he?
That's twice Cronenworth has brought up.
It's funny.
His boss. His boss's boss.
That's a good point.
And he's like, yeah, I don't have a problem bringing him up. Listen, is it the true identity of this team? I think something that they've been lacking is any consistency. So let's give them credit in this. They're down 3-0 against Miami on Sunday. They figure out a way to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They're down yesterday, a couple different points in the game. I thought yesterday, I'm like, yeah, they're losing this game.
They were trailed 3 times.
And it just felt like one of those games that you're going to lose. Yeah. They found a way to win. Today, a couple of moments, got a little dicey, nothing crazy. They went 3-1. They're 5-0 now, or they've won 5 games in a row, and they're beating up on bad teams. Brent, I don't know if you still have those stats in front of you, but how the Padres are versus teams below 500, what is that record?
I don't have below. I have above 500.
Oh, I'm sorry. Above 500. Yep.
Against winning teams this year, they're 22-34.
I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah.
I know that Arizona's got a worse record than that.
22-37, I think Brent said.
And I think Philadelphia is just a couple games below 500, but they're right there, almost basically 500.
Yeah.
So do I need to know who the identity of a team is based off of this competition? That's tough for me to be sold on that. But a lot of teams in sports, the good ones, they beat up on the bad teams and they're 500 against the good teams. And then you end up with a really good record, right? That's obviously not San Diego. They've struggled against these good teams. So I can't commit to what the identity is based off these 5 games.
Well, to your point, I mean, you can spin it one of 2 ways. I mean, clearly in the postseason, if you get there, you got to beat good teams. But the other part of it is if you're 22-34 against good, you're 33-19 against bad. That
which will get you to the playoffs.
Get you there.
That's going to get you to the playoffs.
It's not going to, of course, win you series. Now, how many of these teams that they're vying with are over 500 against good teams? I'm talking about Pittsburgh, Arizona.
Yeah.
Even Philadelphia's under 500.
Yeah.
Miami. I mean, of all those groupings, St. Louis, Washington, are any of those teams over 500, Brett?
Pittsburgh actually is 32-34 against winning teams this year.
But still under, right? 32-34?
Yeah, but they got a better record than the Phillies do against.
Yeah.
They have out of the teams we've mentioned, they have the best record against winning teams.
But it all kind of makes sense to me, doesn't it? Because these aren't the best teams.
Pittsburgh also, just kind of a weird stat with them. They're plus 37 in run differential. Padres are minus 18. Pittsburgh's got a few stats that are interesting that, when you kind of get under the hood with their team.
Would you agree this time of year right now, like it's just when, not how? Like I did a wrap-up show last night. People are like, oh man, this was sloppy. This is ugly sell. I'm like, they won.
Yeah, I think there's certain times of the year it matters how you win. I don't think that matters right now for the Padres. Like I think right now, you'd rather win a sloppy game that you probably should have lost and still keep momentum going and gain a game in the standings than losing that exact game. And it just obviously does you no good. It does you no benefit. So they're not playing perfect, but they're still playing pretty good baseball right now. And there's individual players that are performing. And I'm not going to listen, if the question is, Cronenworth said in his comment that
the true identity.
This is a closer identity to who they are.
Yep.
I have a difficult time saying this is who I am when you see me at like my best stage for 30 minutes when I just got a raise or something. Right. It's like, well, let me see you when things aren't going that well. What does it look like? Are you cursing and blaming everybody else?
When you have a cold
right.
And you don't feel well. You slept only 5 hours, not 7.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's a good point. It's easy to say right now, and you can weigh in on this, by the way, 877-767-4760 or on the talkback mic on the iHeartRadio app. You're right. It's easy to say right now. It is. It's much easier to say it now as opposed to 5 days ago. Because you can't say that 5 days ago. And I'm with you. Has anything drastically changed?
I'm not taking anything away from them. Like you and I are both on the same page. We think they're going to buy.
I think they're going to buy.
And we would like to see them in the postseason.
Yep.
Is that safe to say?
Yep.
Only thing I've asked for, don't be reckless.
Right.
It's the only thing I've asked for.
And I would agree.
Be responsible.
I agree until I see it.
Because he's been reckless.
It's like, I don't have the money for a Porsche, dude. But if I go in and it looks nice and I'm like, just put it on the card, it's a bad decision, but I'm smiling on the way out.
But I would tell you, do me a favor. Drive by that Porsche dealership.
And go
because you're not
right
buying
to
a
Ford.
Porsche.
Right. Go right to Toyota.
Go to Toyota.
Camry is 1/4 the cost.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying that. And I'm not even telling you get the low end Toyota. Go get a nicer
Mid-tier.
Toyota.
Yeah.
It's going to last you 200,000 miles. That's all I'm saying.
RAV4.
I'm saying you just got to be. My problem with AJ Preller is I worry about that, the reckless side of things, desperation side of things. He's hit on this. He doesn't know how many more of these opportunities he's going to get. So I worry a little bit about that, especially if you can't cash out. If you can't cash out, then we're all sitting here looking back and saying, well, why'd you do that?
Yeah, I'm not telling you he's going to cash out. I mean, I don't think there's a move to be made that has this team winning a World Series, barring a remarkable. I mean, think about that. Nobody today is talking about the Padres winning the World Series based on.
Well, they had a week ago, they had a 7% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah. We're talking about
what was that percentage for a World Series?
It's like 0.1, and it's probably now 0.4 or something like that. All right, your calls on the other side, 877-767-4760.
Really that low? Jesus.
Plus, if you want to see Toto with Christopher Cross and the Romantics August 12th, tell us why you want to see the show on the Talkback mic. Open up the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the red Talkback mic, and tell us why you want to see Toto on August 12th. By doing that, you're entered to win a 4-pack of tickets. We'll announce a winner this hour. Kevin Acee joins us at 5:30. Stay with us. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760.
All right, with the iHeartRadio app, you can stream us wherever you are 24 hours a day. Just search for San Diego Sports 760 to stream us live all day, every day. You can leave your comments for us using the TalkBack microphone. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want us to talk about. Make us a preset so we pop up each time you open up the app. San Diego Sports 760, always live on the iHeartRadio app.
It is true. And speaking of the app, if you want tickets to see Toto, August 12th, 4 tickets. Just tell us why you want to see the show and your name. By doing that, you're entered to win the tickets. How do you enter? Go to the iHeart app, search for San Diego Sports 760, and click the red Talkback mic. Let's go to the phones. Padres win. They've won 5 straight. Kevin Acee will join us in 12 minutes. Dave is back with us here on Schaefer and Sleewa. Dave, thanks for calling in, man.
So wasn't Toto the name of the dog in the Wizard of Oz back there with Judy Garland?
Thank you.
Dave, he's tried telling that to us, I think 4 times.
That's the only thing I know.
I don't think Brent and I have listened to him, but yes.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But nonetheless, I always love that name of a band. The first thing I think of is the dog. But anyway, getting back to our boys here.
Yeah.
As Padre fans, of course, we are all delighted and happy that they've strung together some wins here, even though it's against what you would consider a little bit lesser competition.
Yep.
But it's, as the old saying goes, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. So we benefited from some of that as well. So as it relates to what you're talking about today, I totally understand what you're saying with you. What concerns me about the Padres, and when they make decisions, and I know I'm not picking on AJ because I know decisions get made at various levels throughout the organization, and a lot of times, or sometimes, it's not his fault. But what happens, generally speaking, in Farron or Jim Bowden had brought this up, what teams do at the trade deadline, they always end up, for the most part, overpaying. And so Alan, you're absolutely right about the overpaying thing. And it's historical. It's not just the Padres. It's a lot of teams. So here, and I'll finish up with this. Think about, since we've got here with the contract boys, it seems every single year we go through this helter-skelter at the midterm of the season, and then we pick up a dude. Maybe we pick up 2 dudes, and we give away 3 or 4 dudes for the 2. But then what happens later on, for whatever reason, for the most part, we don't keep the 2 dudes. They go too. So when you look at the lump sum net effect afterwards, it's this constant merry-go-round of roster helter-skelter that keeps the Padres into this almost never land. And that's what concerns me, is you got to get it right in the off season, and that involves more than just AJ. That's the owners, and everybody's got to collectively get this right in the off season. So when you get to trade deadlines, you don't have this absolute nightmare of holes to fill when the market isn't there to fill it to begin with.
Dave, appreciate you, man. It's interesting. It's a good point. Like, if you're buying at the deadline, there is a very high likelihood you're overpaying to buy. Yes. Have they overpaid? Of course they have. Along the way, of course they have.
Yeah, but I think his point of, doesn't it always feel like the Padres are always kind of chasing something? Yeah, they're always chasing their own tail.
100%.
Running in circles.
Yeah, I don't think they're the best run organization. I do think they're one of the more entertaining ones. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't think this is like the Atlanta Braves of the 1990s or the Yankees.
It's interesting you put it that way, because honestly, in like an ideal world, in a perfect world, as a San Diegan, as a San Diego Padre fan, and you got one squad here of the top 4, the entertainment part, I think, threw everybody off.
That they'd be so entertaining?
We're just not accustomed to it.
Right, exactly.
Not accustomed in on everything. To this. Yeah, not accustomed to it.
Winning trade deadlines.
So I think that clearly the city got excited about that. But I think if you asked me what's the right way to run a baseball franchise in San Diego, I think there is more of a more boring approach with a bigger picture in mind. I don't know if, what Preller has done. It's been fun. It's been entertaining.
Yeah.
They certainly have been dangerous. I mean, they've also been dangerous enough to where there have been a couple of different times where it would not have been crazy to see the Padres in a World Series.
2022, 24.
But because it hasn't happened, I think there is this like, hey, we've tried it your way a couple different times. Are we sure we still want to approach it the exact same way you've done in the past?
I agree with that. I don't disagree with any of that. But what I would say is, as long as he's in charge, I want him to do it his way. Does that make sense? Like when you ask him to be someone who he's not, just go hire someone else then. Because if you're putting him in a position where you're not playing to his strengths. Like, do we need LeBron James playing center for the Sixers? No. Play him in position, not out of position.
Right.
I think when
or go find a center.
If you want him to be prudent and cautious and viable and long-term thinker, I don't know if he's the right guy. The whole initial rebuild of the Padres from 2014 until whenever they got the thing going, 2020, 2022, it took a long time, man.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of Padres fans listening right now would say we were sold it would be quicker. He gets here in 14 and we're not viable for 5+ years until they really threw gasoline into the thing with money. So I don't know if he's the greatest rebuilder, but I do think he likes he's a big fan of going to get the best talent available to him. He has proven that time and time again. I don't know if it's the right way moving forward for the Padres, but while he's here, I don't know if he's going to change the way he does it.
It's funny in if I'm using like a NBA or an NFL example, you can have a average quarterback, but the chances of you winning a Super Bowl, it's like you do the Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
We got a shot now.
Mm-hmm.
In the NBA, it's like Jerry West, who used to run the Lakers, back in the days.
Who?
Give me the star. They wanted stars. But it wasn't just any stars, like a star that you felt like you can win with.
Yeah.
So I don't think what Preller's done, I mean, going after, I don't know if that applies in baseball because you have so many different players.
Available.
I mean, we know the most important player in the NFL is your quarterback. We know that. That's you have to have, if you have the best quarterback in the world, you got a legit shot of, when top 10 quarterback in the world. We know that if you got the top 10 players in the NBA, top 5 players in the NBA, you got a shot. Right? How does that apply to baseball? I'm not sure.
I mean, the Angels had 2 of the top 5 players in real time. They sucked. Right. 2 of the top 5 in real time for years, 6 of them.
You remember when they were the World Baseball Classic?
And facing each other.
But all the tweets were like, imagine if these 2 guys were on the same team.
It's hilarious. Exactly.
There would be
those
memes where it's like a Lamborghini and a Ferrari parked in the same
100%
apartment.
Yeah.
But it's like an apartment. It's like a beat up home.
Yes.
But here's you got these 2 beautiful
right. That's
cars
exactly right.
there.
All right, Kevin Acee. Let's talk to Kevin. He was at today's game. Of course, he covered the Padres for the UT. He's our Padres insider. He'll join us on the other side. The latest on the deadline and the Padres 5-game win streak with Kevin Acee next on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres took game 2 of their series against the Rockies today down at Petco Park 3-1. They took both games of that series. Next up is a 4-game set down at Petco against the Giants. In NFL news, former Chargers defensive lineman Billy Ray Smith Jr. has passed away at the age of 64. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects you with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
Oh, what a time to be alive. Padres have won 5 straight. Trade deadline is approaching. I think we've talked to Kevin about the deadline maybe infinity times.
I think it's the first time.
This is the first time we've brought it up. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. A very busy time of year, of course, for Kevin. Appreciate it as always. Let's talk about the upcoming deadline and their needs, because we touched on this a couple of days ago and thought they'd be buying. It seems more clear today. Do you see the Padres as an organization with the necessary assets to acquire the quality starting pitching that they need? As in, it's one thing to get starting pitching, it's another thing to do it with a level of quality. Will they be able to pull it off?
I would have optimism for that, if only because it's AJ Preller, and that goes deeper than, like, I think he's super creative. It goes to that I think they have built a stronger starting, or a stronger minor league system than they're given credit for. That's not to say that they're in great shape or they have the assets that they were able to spend, in terms of prospect capital in recent trade deadlines, which he clearly made huge difference with his team. But those were highly creative as well that other GMs wouldn't have done. I don't know if they couldn't or they just wouldn't, but I mean, it's been proved that AJ is creative, and it seems he's more creative than most, or at least has the balls to be more creative than most. And so that's like a really good thing if you're in this situation where I don't think, still working on this, but I don't think they've got a lot of money to add to the payroll, and they don't have as many prospects as they used to. I would still say that, a starter, maybe 2, and he's going to blow me away, and this soundbite's going to not age well. We're not talking about like a number 1 or a number 2. He's probably going to go out and do that now, but we're talking about just someone to give them not, quality innings, giving them 5 innings, 2 runs, the occasional quality stuff. King. And then look, the Padres don't believe they're really going anywhere, and by that I mean deep in October without Pivetta or Musgrove coming back and being strong, and without Jason Adams. But that's what they're banking on, and so that's why they'll be buyers.
Kevin, did you learn anything different over this last handful stretch of games? We heard Jake Cronenworth, we played it. Obviously, you're there, but he said something to the effect of that this is more of the identity of who the Padres are. Do you feel like we've learned anything in this short stretch that you didn't already know?
Well, it's, I guess the only thing I'd say is like they did it, right? Like they won 5 in a row. They've been talking about it and how they're capable of it and pointing to the Red Sox and, other teams that turned around their season. And it's like, yeah, I believe that. You've got the players to do that. I mean, I got a lot of skepticism about the pitching staff, but you've got the players to do that. Sure. They did it. And they need to keep doing it, really. They've made an amazing dent here, climb up in the standings. Still, first team outside of the playoff field, and they need to take advantage of, they've got these 4 against the Giants who stink, and they've got 4 against the Diamondbacks. I mean, this is like huge. And the funny thing about that is 44 minus 8, 36 games after that.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. I mean, it's such a good point. I think I've tried to make this point because when I do these shows, Kevin, and you do them as well, and when you write, it's like when I say I think they're going to buy, that doesn't mean I'm saying they're going to make the postseason. There's a completely different conversation. Like, but they're in a position
after the trade deadline.
After the trade deadline, you're talking about who is going to make the postseason or not. But would you agree that, like, they're in a position where it would almost at this point be surprising if they were anything other than buyers?
Oh yeah, and I think that's where we started the week. But now it's like, wait, yeah. I mean, like almost like before. I think they had a case to make of they could selling, right? Like to the fans,
right.
and there's a compelling case for it. Unless something goes terribly wrong in the next 4 days, I would think there should be a revolt if they're not buyers. And I don't know what exactly that looks like. I mean, like, I don't know that it's going to result in anyone on the outside being thrilled about this starter or two starters or this left-handed hitting outfielder, Mickey Moniak, that they're, going to get. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but in terms of going out and making a legitimate shot to improve your team, they're going to do that. Now, what can they accomplish? I don't know. But like, if that doesn't happen now, like, I mean, in what world are they not a contender now? Like, I just like, now, I don't think that this, you asked me what I learned, like nothing in these 5 games changed my mind that this team with its pitching staff cannot get to the playoffs. But I don't understand why you wouldn't do what you can by 3 p.m. on Monday to make it, because I don't think it's that far away from that, that I don't understand how you would justify not trying at this point.
Kevin, you said something a little bit earlier that's interesting, just kind of banking on the Pivetta, Musgrove, Jason Adam, obviously big names here. How do you calculate, like how do they put that into their calculation before the trade deadline? How do you, without seeing, it's not like these guys are so far along that, hey, yeah, they're back in a week. Like how do they calculate that?
Right. Jason Adam, it's like facing the medical staff because he hasn't really even started doing anything yet. It's like, no, we think that this is a veteran. He's been a really good pitcher, and we think he's going to be able to pitch by September. And we'll be okay by then. The other guys, I don't know exactly how to explain it because they are far away. Like, is it today or tomorrow that they'd be doing lives? Anyway, it would be their second time to face hitters and maybe a rehab start the end of next week. I don't know. So yeah, they're far away, but the level of optimism that rose over the last couple times that they threw their final bullpen before the facing hitters last week, facing hitters on Friday, the level of optimism from people in the organization just grew like exponentially, and it just seemed very real, organic, and like, so what they were doing is watching these guys carefully, and they felt like it needed to be proved to them that they're at least on the upward trajectory, throwing all their pitches, velo, and I don't know where the velo's at. No one will say it, but that it's on its way up, that they are able to unleash a few pitches. And so they feel good about it. And that's all they could have hoped to do. They may end up being proved wrong, but they felt like, no, you know what? We've been saying this all along, that these guys are going to be ready, or we're going to give them a chance to be ready. Okay, it really looks like they will be. So, all right, now let's pencil that out. What's that look like if we have to be able to plug in one or both of those guys end of August and through September and all that?
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. We just played some audio for our listeners from, I think, before today's game from Jeff Passan on ESPN, where he said he was just asked if the Padres should trade Mason Miller. He said yes, because they don't just need starting pitching. They need long-term answers to their starting pitching woes, and Miller could help address that. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. That's not an exact quote from Jeff Passan, but are you surprised that, A, I guess, do you still see Mason Miller being moved as a possibility? And then B, is it somewhat surprising to hear some national pundits remain optimistic that Mason Miller could move this time of year?
Well, A, like, I love Jeff as a person, and he's, incredibly plugged in, and I'm not going to ever, I don't know where he's coming from, and I don't know the context of what he said. So, his ability to talk to, 29 other teams is kind of unrivaled. Ken Rosenthal, that's about it, really. So I don't know the context and all that. Yes, that's surprising to me, though. Yeah, what are they being offered? I mean, are you want Mason Miller to address, be the one, or him and someone else? Because I think if you're going to sell Mason Miller, you're a seller. Because I don't see how you're trying to win without the closer you got to help you win. But you better be getting like major league ready. Because no team that is going to spend for Mason Miller is giving you one of their top starters. But evidently, that could be a team that is deep in starters and is going to give you starters in the minor leagues who are very close to making the majors. And that would be, I guess, one way to go. I mean, I don't see how a team that has built to here has this team is very aware that they think they got a few years left with Manny in his prime, but like is very aware of the ticking clock. I don't see how this team punts. I always say I just refuse to be surprised by AJ Preller. And good, bad, ugly, whatever. I refuse to be surprised by him because he, the most creative general manager in many, many years. But I just don't see that.
Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, joining us here on the Schaefer and Sleeper Show. Kevin, is there a world where they're still trying to, obviously make the postseason? They will be buyers, but a guy like Adrian Morejon is not on this team because you're addressing other needs, or, pick whichever player that you want. Especially, and I think I mentioned more of the bullpen guys because of the need for bullpen guys. It sounds like across Major League Baseball. Is that a likely possibility, you think?
I think it is. I think it's maybe more likely at this point, but I really don't know that one of the lesser lefties goes, right? Like they've got these abundance of lefties, and there is this need for relievers. But if that price for Adrian Morejon is up there, that it is giving you that outfielder you need, or it's a part of something that you're getting a starter that you need, a quality starter who's going to be covering innings to allow you to then shuffle your bullpen to cover those innings. Because what Adrian Morejon has done this year is pretty remarkable. Look at his innings and versus his games, and like what this guy has done, 4 outs, 6 outs, is remarkable. Okay. Yeah. I do think, as much as that bums me out, like in terms of like Adrian Morejon has kind of like been a part of their family, and he's a really good dude and has matured like incredibly. And I wish him all the best for the $20+ million a year he's going to get in his next contract. That makes more sense than the guy who you give the ball with 4 or 3 outs to go, and almost anyone is betting the mortgage on a Padres win. I don't get how you say you're going to be going for the playoffs this year and you trade Mason Miller. I do get it in terms of making your team better for the long haul, but I don't, I think I think no matter what you try to sell to us, you're punting on this year if you get rid of Mason Miller. I think you're a much better team this year with Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. That's the fun thing about the trade deadline to me, is like whatever the rest of us are talking about, and even the trade deadline experts. And believe me, Jeff Passan lives for the trade deadline. Like he hasn't slept in 5 days and won't sleep for 5 more. Like this is where he makes his money. He doesn't even know like all the things, all the offers that are out there. And so if Adrian Morejon can get you what you need to be good this year and maybe in the future, then yeah, maybe.
A very busy weekend about to get underway, both on field and off field for the San Diego Padres. Of course, Kevin will have us covered. He'll join us again coming up on Friday as the deadline gets closer. But Kevin, appreciate you doing it.
See you guys.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
reaction.
Be a tough one to watch if Morejon goes, but I get it. Like there's how else
do you improve your
and yeah. We'll see how they do it, but that dude has been so critical for the Padres these last couple of years.
He really has. He's been in the organization now for 10 years, really since the beginning of AJ Preller's tenure. All right, more on what Kevin had to tell us, plus how the LeBron saga played out this summer. Some of the mechanisms that played out here this summer with LeBron James before landing in Philadelphia here until 6 p.m. on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Schaefer and Sliwa, a final time today on 760. 2 hours and 48 minutes on the Padres.
Bro, we went hard to the hoop today.
We did. And we got fouled.
I got an and one. You got fouled. You missed one free throw. You hit a free throw and missed one.
I don't think in my entire playing career, I had some career or something but when you're a kid and you're playing as an 8-year-old or a 10 or a 12-year-old, I don't recall scoring. Now, I think I played basketball for 6 or 7 years.
You scored, bro.
I think I did.
No, you did. It's impossible you didn't. Literally, I used to coach when I used to coach at Kennedy Recreation Center when I got the job after Golden Corral.
Right.
Said, pump the brakes here, buddy. I would coach kids. Like it was like a requirement. Every kid's going to score.
Were you like a box and one guy on defense? Like what was your strategy? Like triangle offense?
Full court.
You picked up, it was 40 minutes 90, of hell?
Picked up 90. Slap the ground when you pick up on defense.
That's fascinating.
Run your mouth at the other coach and the kids. Let them know that we run this court.
So you were like a Coach K disciple?
Yeah.
Something like
Bobby Hurley.
Bobby Hurley.
Just like that. Yes.
All right. Speaking of basketball, what has played out behind the scenes with LeBron James this summer before he landed with the Philadelphia 76ers? A lot, right? Went into this, and a lot of other teams he was at least deciding between.
Yeah. It looks like now all that stuff is starting to come out. All right. We'll give you a couple here. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a conversation that came out afterwards. The Warriors reportedly decided not to trade Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis because of AD's injury history and his desire for a contract extension.
Probably smart.
So one of the things that all this, when it was going down, there were some reports out there. I think it was Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports was basically like, hey, the part of the delay here is, can one of these teams trade for Anthony Davis or one of these teams trade for Kyrie?
Right.
AD would be the Golden State trade. Kyrie would be the Cavs one. And I know, I've seen the Warriors getting a lot of their ownership group. Remember, Lacob obviously had an opportunity to potentially buy the San Diego Padres, getting a lot of basically flack for not making this trade happen. What did you want them to do? You wanted them to sign Anthony Davis to a long-term extension? The guy got traded to Dallas 7 years ago and has played 29 games.
Exactly. Yeah, no, they
now
do
you roll the dice and just say, hey, let's go all in? What do I got to lose? I've already won 4 championships here. This is Steph Curry's final run.
Would it have guaranteed LeBron if they did that?
I think the idea and the concept was LeBron comes if they were able to do that.
Well, then I probably would have done it, truthfully. Because now, what's Golden State going to be, by the way?
They got nothing. They're going to be
just
nothing.
Blah.
They're going to be blah. Probably a playing team. I know you love the playing tournament. Okay, the other one that was out there, supposedly Clippers discussed a lucrative 1-season contract north of $20 million that would allow LeBron to remain in California, per Dave McMenamin. So I guess Clippers tried to get in the mix. Here's where so I'm assuming that was before they traded Kawhi Leonard and that whole thing.
That would have been interesting. Kawhi with LeBron, like, could have played out years ago,
right? Like they tried doing that years ago. So I think this is what's going to happen now. Is you're going to kind of now start getting piece after piece here of what went down in this trade, or what went down to his decision to getting there.
Yeah.
Obviously a part of Philadelphia, but could have got sounds like could have got more money somewhere else. And it sounds like there was, obviously more into it from.
I mean, the money thing, he could have gotten the money from LA. I'm talking about the Lakers. At the end of the day, all options that were available to him, it's hard to be critical of what he chose.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to win a Golden State? We all agree no. Are you going to win with the Lakers? They're behind these other teams in the Western Conference. We already saw it. Were you winning with the Clippers? Of course not. Cleveland would have been interesting, but been there, done that. You won a title with Cleveland. You need to go there a third time. I mean, he's already beloved. Everyone loves him. Cleveland had won nothing.
I wonder do you think, Brent, there's a lot of Cavs fans that are upset with LeBron for not going back to Cleveland? I got to imagine there would be.
No, because he already went back. It's like John said, he already went back and won. It's, he could go back and win again, but, it's never going to be as good as your first time. So,
yeah, I just thought that's where he's going to end his career. That's where I think maybe tied into it.
He may still.
That's where it's tied into it. No, he said he's done. He said he's done making those decisions.
He's done with the decisions.
He's got 2 years. Got 2 years in Philly. I mean, he's got a player option out that second year.
Let me ask you this: legacy it's LeBron James. Anything change with another ring?
I think so.
It can be further cemented his legacy, right?
Yeah, I don't think he can hurt his legacy, but I do think he can add
to it.
This stage of his career, and that's if he's like a piece, right? Like he's a contributor. I think Philadelphia hasn't won a championship since 1983. He goes to a franchise that obviously is certainly, it's been a while since they've won. It would be his 4th championship with 4 different teams, 5th total. He ties guys like LeBron or ties guys like Kobe, Magic, Yeah, I think it only adds to his legacy.
By the way, the last time the Sixers won a title, their starting five was legit too. It did include Mo Cheeks, Dr. J, Moses Malone, Andrew Toney. So
Philly
like,
was.
I mean, this is interesting because it has been so long. Cleveland, he won with them. Lakers have 1 million titles. Golden State has recently won 4. They've won 4.
Yeah.
So like, this is a little different. 1983 is a lifetime ago for most people. How many people were even around to remember that?
I mean, Miami went to the finals 4 years in a row.
Remember that?
So as in like he's done things in these places that this will be completely fresh and new.
Yeah,
I love that he's going to live in New York while he's out there.
Yeah, it's interesting to me.
Live in Philly.
He's going to have a place in Philly too. It's just going to be like back-to-backs.
He can't afford 2 spots. 2 mortgages.
Yeah, it's true. That's right.
One.
Is he going to do a HELOC?
Choosing New York.
Is he going to have to do a home project in Philadelphia? I mean, he's fine. Financially, he's fine.
Bronny's fronting him a lot of his rent out there.
Dude.
Just telling you.
Who do the Sixers play? Who do the Sixers play opening night? We talked about Christmas. Who do the Sixers play opening night?
Celtics.
Celtics. Kind of like Celtics.
Yeah. Give them Celtics opening night, but Christmas is going to be the Knicks.
Who do you give the Knicks opening night? Opening night.
Spurs in a rematch of the finals.
Oh, no, it's a little early for
that. They do that? They do an East-West that early?
It's possible. I'm asking.
Yeah. Miami. Give them Miami.
Pels. The Pels.
Pelicans will be really. I love that.
I call them the Pels.
The
Kings, love that.
They're on the up.
All right. If you missed anything today, sportsst.com or the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify for the podcast. Back tomorrow
Peace.
At 3 p.m. For Brent and Alan, I'm John. Keep it here. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace indeed.